Welcome back to the Cinebums channel. This is the long-awaited episode that we've been dying to do since we started this thing 2 episodes ago. Because this is, I mean, you guys can chime in, but I think this is the greatest decade in cinema history, and personally, my favorite decade in all of cinema. But little table setting, we have Carlos and Blaire back. They've been on every episode so far, and they're back on the best episode, I would say. But we have a special guest. In Criterion himself from the Misfit Pond channel, Mr. Perry. Thank you for coming on, and thank you for wearing such an amazing shirt to showcase the decade.
Thanks for having me, Jake.
Of course, yeah. But this has been a long time coming, I feel like, and we'll finally have some back and forth on the pod. But I guess, like, from the top, like, what do you guys think about the 70s as a whole? Like, do you love it as much as me? I'm sure you do. I mean, like, if you're a film fan, how could you not?
Easily, I think it's the best decade of cinema. Like, me personally, it's my favorite decade for film. 60s would probably be a close second, but like 70s to me was like it. Just watching like certain films from the 70s, like A Clockwork Orange and Taxi Driver, it just really like opened my mind to what cinema could be.
Totally agree.
I second that.
Yeah,
it's my favorite decade for movies too. A close second would be the 80s, though. I love the 80s when it comes to films.
I'm right there with you, Blaire. And you know, the 70s is interesting because it's like, obviously we're going to talk about the new Hollywood era, like the booming auteur movement by all the American filmmakers. But looking back, like a lot of international directors like Bergman, like Tarkovsky, were making like some of their highest level films, in my opinion. And like really personalized a lot of the filmmaking canon that we like know and love today. So I can't wait to just delve into this really deep and talk about, because I feel like we shared our lists prior and they're all pretty different, I would say. So I feel like we're going to encompass a lot of amazing films here today. So I can't wait to do that. But to start, what did y'all watch recently that you liked? We'll quickly go around the bend. And Perry, since you're new, you can go first. Like, anything you saw like within the past week or so that like really stuck with you. And it could be a really bad movie. Like, for example, we talked about Cocaine Bear for a little bit. So totally up to you.
I actually saw that the Cocaine Bear on my birthday. I do agree with y'all that movie sucked, but I'm not going to beat that dead horse because you already talked about it on the pod.
Mm-hmm.
But I recently watched Vagabond by Agnes Varda, and I just think it's a straight-up masterpiece. I mean, it really blew me away.
I agree. We mentioned that on the 60s episode briefly because we mentioned Varda, and that might be her masterpiece. I mean, like, next to Cleo from 5 to 7 is amazing, but yeah, that's an incredible movie. Carlos, you want to go?
Sure. I recently watched and discussed Macario, Mexican film that came out in 1960, directed by Roberto Galvadon. And we discussed it in the Discord. It was my blind rec and it won, so we all had to watch and discuss it. And yeah, that film blew me away. I loved pretty much every aspect of it. Like, Mexican cinema to me is not really discussed about enough, I think, amongst like kino lords and film lovers, honestly. Like, I really think people should really talk more about it because, especially like in the 50s and 60s and even 70s, like, there's a lot of gold there. And Macario, I think, is a perfect example of that, like, Mexican golden era of filmmaking. It is like, I mean, I usually don't talk about the storyline, but I'll just to like get people interested in it so they could watch it. First of all, it's on YouTube, so it's like free on YouTube. It's subbed and everything, so you can watch it for free. But it basically, I'll just say it's about a man who, for once in his life, wants something for himself, and he goes out into the woods and encounters God, Satan, and death. And that's not really spoiling it because it happens actually like in the first 20 minutes of the movie. So there's like 90% of the movie that isn't that and is a whole different element to it. But to me, it's like one of the most thematically rich screenplays I've ever seen. I think in terms of like direction and presentation, it's phenomenal. The character writing is fantastic. And I just really can't recommend it enough. It's definitely a film that I think more people should see and discuss, because to me, it's a brilliant film, really. And everybody in the Discord loved it. We've discussed now 101 films in the Discord, and it ranked number 4. That's how much people loved it in the Discord. And it's a film that desperately needs like a restoration too. It's a film that like it's kind of been neglected by like any kind of like home media releases at all. And it's still like pretty much the best version you could watch of it is maybe like a DVD or the free YouTube version, basically. And that's it. And it's not very good. Like in terms of quality, it's not that like good looking. So it definitely needs like a solid physical release and restoration. I'm hoping that Criterion gets their hands on something like this soon, but
sure. Yeah. That's definitely a good recommendation because it's really esoteric too. Because like I didn't hear about it until you guys all logged it. So that's definitely high on my watch list now. Blair and Perry, you watched that too?
I didn't watch it, unfortunately. I will soon.
I did, and I honestly can second everything Carlos said about the film. I think the film is a masterpiece, and it's in desperate need of a proper restoration.
Nice. I definitely look out for that one, and definitely more Mexican films too, because I agree with you. Definitely an underrepresented country in like Criterion and a lot of the film canon. So yeah, I'll go next with what I watched. If anyone knows me on a personal level, they know I love the filmmaker Kelly Reichardt a lot. I talk about her a lot. And I recently saw her new film called Showing Up. I actually saw it last night, which was her new film that played at, I forgot what festival last year, but A24 is distributed it. So it's got a pretty good release, but I'm happy to say I think this film is great. But of course I'm very biased because I love all of her films, and I just love her style, and I love her outlook on life and just how she captures everyday mundane life. If you've seen her films like Wendy and Lucy, Certain Women, she's a particular style that just resonates really deeply with me. And Blair and I were talking about Oregon prior to this podcast before we started recording, and like the way she captures Portland and like the landscape in Oregon, I think is so like elegant and so unique to capturing a certain part of America. And in the new film, it's more like the the urban arts district of like Portland. So it's very like satirical about artists there that are like if you watch like Portlandia or anything like that, it's kind of like in that vein where it kind of satirizes artists out there, but it's a really humane movie at the same time. And I would say like her funniest movie ever. And so if y'all, I had a lot of, it's hard to recommend fully because there's a lot of like really drawn out sequences that are very they very much test your patience, like kind of in the vein of like slow cinema and stuff like that. We had a lot of walkouts at our screening, surprisingly. Like many people walked out of it, so I'm like, how many people can I truly recommend that movie to? But if you like Kelly and her other films, this is not like a top tier Kelly Reichardt movie. I would like probably rank it towards the bottom, but that being said, I think it's a great movie. And I highly recommend, if anyone likes Michelle Williams, if you like A24 or any of that, like I would definitely recommend supporting this movie in theaters. And yeah, I love Kelly. So I've always wanted to talk about her on here.
Yeah, I mean,
you guys plan on seeing it?
I definitely want to see it. I mean, I've only seen First Cow, which I really love, and I've also seen Wendy and Lucy, which I also really, really love. So, I have a lot of faith in her like filmmaking ability at this point, just because of the things that I've seen from her. So, yeah, I'm down. I'm definitely down to watch that one whenever I can.
As a big fan of Oregon, Michelle Williams, and Kelly Reichardt, I'm definitely going to be watching.
Love it. Yeah, and I had the privilege of I I went to a Q&A with her pretty recently, and they screened Wendy and Lucy and Night Moves. And just hearing her speak, I've kind of been in the Kelly Reichardt bubble for the past like 2 weeks. So I've just been like really absorbing her movies and like hearing her talk and stuff. So yeah, go see Showing Up if it's playing near you. I know it has a really limited release, unfortunately, but I think a select few of you out there are gonna appreciate it. So yeah, that's my Kelly Reichardt rant. Blaire, Blaire, you could finish us off with like what have you watched recently?
The two that really stick out in my mind is I watched this documentary by Adam Curtis called Hypernormalization. Shout out to Lil Souffle, who's in the Discord. He really pushed this documentary for a long time, and essentially what it's about like how kind of corporations are even like have more influence over like narratives and the government, and really kind of confuse us in a lot of this chaos and kind of make us as like citizens and as people who are about in society kind of complicit in this like capitalistic system that we're in. Not to get too political, I just like it's a really great documentary. It's kind of cliche to say, but it's pretty eye-opening. I feel like I knew a lot about the conclusions the documentary made, but it was interesting seeing all the events that kind of leads up into the kind of theming and message of the movie. I think if anybody's interested in documentaries and is like interested in like political documentaries, you should give it a watch, because from my understanding, Adam Curtis is a huge like political like filmmaker, kind of like in the realm of like Michael Moore, but not the same approach. Like, well, that's the meme I was trying to get away from. Is like he's not.
No, I know.
Like
it's
Moore.
hard. It's hard to
subtle.
compare anyone to Michael Moore because it's like
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
I know what you're saying though. Yeah.
But I'd really recommend that. Other than that, I've seen Meek's Cut Off by Kelly Reichardt, which I really enjoyed. And I also saw Rear Window by Hitchcock. It's my second only Hitchcock I've seen. I've never seen Vertigo. I've never seen Psycho, but Rear Window is really fucking great. I loved it.
Yeah, dude.
Good movie.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's awesome. Yeah, we mentioned Vertigo at I think Rear Window on the 50s episode briefly. I know Carlos had somewhat of a hot take on Vertigo, but that did make the list. But honestly, looking back, like Rear Window maybe should have made the list over that, but
I mean, me personally, I would put Rear Window over Vertigo, which even that's a hot take. But personally, like Rear Window, just in terms of like aesthetic direction and like artistic vision, it's just that movie resonated with me more. Just really great overall in terms of presentation. Like that's definitely for me. Rear Window is my favorite Hitchcock film, but then again, I haven't seen that much of his work. I've seen maybe like 4 of his films.
You've probably seen his Essentials though.
Yeah, except for North by Northwest. I haven't seen that one.
It's a great one. Yeah. Harry, what's your favorite Hitchcock?
Personal favorite would probably be Rope, but I think his best is Vertigo. I actually think y'all went the right route by including Vertigo in y'all's 50s list.
Cool. Yeah. I always say, because like I don't think I asked Carlos if he saw Rear Window in that episode. That might have been more of a like consensus pick, but yeah, I agree. Vertigo, I still love that film. Another underrated Hitchcock movie is Shadow of a Doubt. I think it's a really great neo-noir suburban thriller that he did in the 40s with a really great performance. That's sort of my personal favorite Hitchcock, but there's so many. He was obviously really great at what he did. So yeah, I guess any other movies you guys want to talk about? That if not, we could just dive into this.
Okay, just really quick. Go ahead. No, you got it. Go ahead.
Since you mentioned the Dardenne brothers a lot on the podcast, I think it's only fitting that I should mention that I saw Rosetta recently, and nice. I thought it was excellent. I don't love it as much as The Kid with the Bike, but I really do love that film.
Cool. Do you like 2 Days, One Night?
I haven't seen it yet, but it's actually on my Criterion challenge, so I'm going to get to it this year.
It's a beautiful film. My God. It would make my 2010 list, I think. It might. So it's so good. What were you saying, Carlos?
Oh, I just wanted to say that in terms of another film that I watched Showa, all 9.5 hours of it, which is as I mentioned, 9.5 hour documentary on the Holocaust, but it's strictly just first person accounts, no archival footage. And yeah, I mean, I gave it a 10 out of 10. We actually discussed that in the Discord as well. One of the better discussions in recent memory. And yeah, I mean, it's a rough watch and everything for sure, but it's like one of the most essential and important important pieces of filmmaking, like ever, in my opinion. Like, I feel like everybody should own Showa, and everybody should watch. Like, if I was the head of like I don't know, like the school district in my town, I would like make every high schooler watch Showa. It's like really that important.
I want to
Wow.
watch it. I wasn't there for the discussion, but I'm really interested in it.
That's the only way to watch it, right? Is to buy the Criterion, because I've looked it up and I can never find a way to
You can watch
it.
it on AMC Plus, I think.
You can actually also watch it on YouTube. It's entirely free.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yep.
Cool.
There's that.
Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to say, to springboard off of what Carlos was saying, because I did watch Showa as well, I think you have to put it up there with films like Koyaanisqatsi and Baraka and Dear Zachary as one of the greatest, and Crumb as well, as one of the greatest documentaries ever made.
Yep.
Wow. I love all those documentaries you named. So that's
I love
definitely a good company.
documentaries.
Koyaanisqatsi is one of my favorite movies, period. So
Me too. Me fucking too.
oh,
Love
we lost Perry.
Hold on. My phone just... No.
But the glitch just typed.
Oh no, our table.
Oh no. I mean,
our Perry, it's broken. Oh, there we go.
My heart stopped for a second
there's that handsome man.
That handsome
far
mug.
away. It looks really far away now.
That looks the same.
Looks the same to me. You and Blair just switched spots on the screen though, so I'm now my it's all right. I'll edit that out. Oh, that was a good transition actually to the list. We were done talking about Showa, right?
Yeah.
Did you have okay?
No, that's about it.
Good. Okay. So kind of to do a little table setting here, I think there's a few things we switched up last time. Well, the one big one was that we decided to rank all the movies at the end in terms of quality. Because before we just did like our top 10, like kind of broadly, but like, do you guys want to do that again where we basically rank the top 10 from our lists?
Yeah,
I think that's I really like doing that.
Yeah, me too.
I know it took extra time, but I thought it was a really cool experiment. And once again, all of our number one movies automatically make it in, and the rest is like our mutual decisions, basically. Yeah, so we're gonna go from 5 to 1. We're gonna switch off, and Harry, if you want to kick us off, since you're the guest this week, what is your number 5 film, sir?
Okay. Well, one thing I will say is I'm glad Hassard Balthazar made the 60s list, because if it didn't, I was going to riot.
No, I love that film. I really do.
Same. But my number 5, and I try to be, it's a little mix of personal favorite and objective best. And my number 5 is my second favorite film of all time. And that is Martin Scorsese's magnum opus, Taxi Driver. Yep.
I'm holding it up for you. Pretend you're holding it up.
Yeah, I own the same copy too, so I go ahead and hold it up too. Hey.
So the reason I felt like I needed to include this film on our 70s list is I mean, of course, I think it's one of the greatest films ever made, but I also think it's one of the best character studies ever made. Like in terms of character studies, like you have to put this in the same conversation with something like There Will Be Blood and Citizen Kane. Because I think what's so interesting about Travis Bickle as a character is you relate a lot to him in like the first act of the movie, but the longer the film progresses, like the more you realize, okay, I'm not really relating or vibing with this person. This person is not who I wanted. I mean, this person is not who I thought he was. It's kind of like the veil is being pulled over your eyes, and once it's revealed, you're kind of seeing who this person really is, and there's just so much subtext because he's such an interesting character. Because Taxi Driver to me is like like sure, it's a meditation on loneliness. Like I think it's one of the greatest films about loneliness. But there's so many like different themes at play, and there's so many different like theories you can come up with of why Travis Bickle is the way he is. And I think what's interesting is in the first act of the movie, they mentions that he was in the military, that he's a veteran. And you got to kind of wonder, like, if his experience in the military is kind of like what led him down this really dark path, like his who he was as a person, like may have changed drastically, like being in the military and just coming back to New York City, and his inability to sleep is like I think it shows that he has PTSD. I think that's pretty clear, and that he's kind of disgusted by coming back to New York, seeing in New York City, and he's kind of disgusted by what he sees around him. Because it's crazy how he uses like his how he perceives the world to try to justify his own actions. It's kind of like the whole saying of everyone is the hero of their own story, how he kind of like twists the situation and makes it seem like he's kind of this he's not just a sick vigilante. He's kind of right in what he's doing, but that's just him like twisting kind of that's just his twist, kind of not twisted mind, but obviously his sick mind at work, kind of like trying to rationalize what he's doing. And I just think it's a really interesting film and how it deals with loneliness. And honestly, like, I don't relate to Travis Bickle, and obviously Martin Scorsese doesn't want you to relate to Travis Bickle, but I think everyone has that moment where they kind of feel like Travis Bickle in the sense that they feel so disconnected from the world around them. They can't identify with the people around them, what they say, what they think, what they feel, and I've definitely felt that a lot in my life. And I mean, just from like a cinematography and directing and acting perspective, I mean, Robert De Niro gives arguably one of the greatest performances of all time in this film. I mean, he's incredible. I mean, he's my personal favorite actor of all time, and he's given a lot of great performances. And I honestly have to say, him as Travis Bickle, I think it's his best performance in his career. I think that's like his defining role to me. And honestly, like I said, when I saw Taxi Driver at the age of 17, it really showed me what cinema could be, how powerful cinema could be, and how it could move me so drastically and make me think and reflective my place in the world and the world around me. It's a perfect film. It really is. It's hard to put in words just like how seminal the film is and how layered the film is. And there are definitely so many films that have been inspired by this film, but they don't feel as they don't have the depth that this film does.
Totally.
Yeah.
That was a really great sentiment on Taxi Driver. And since I don't have it on my list, I will agree. It's like top tier Martin Scorsese, De Niro, really defines the 70s in terms of the new auteur movement as well, and just expertly crafted by Schrader and Scorsese. It's a seminal movie that rightfully won the Palme d'Or, right? It did win the Palme, right? At Cannes.
I'm not sure.
I'll look it up later, but I'm pretty sure it did. But for a movie that small to be in contention for that and to hit so many people and kind of send shock waves into how cinema was shifting at the time. Really important movie.
Yeah, and like one thing that I really love about Taxi Driver, and I haven't seen that movie in at least like fucking 7 years or so, but I remember so much about it because it really sticks with you in that way. But one thing that I really love about it is Perry kind of touched upon it, but it kind of expresses really well how there's a lot of different factors that contributed to kind of like Travis Bickle's downward spiral in the film. He's a very multi-dimensional character, and he doesn't just come off as just like some psychopathic crazy person. Because like, as Perry said, he came from like the military. So in one way he's like a veteran, and he knows all the kind of like psychological trauma he's already dealt with. And then coming to a place like New York City, where he's a taxi, but not only is he a taxi driver, but he drives like in the most like sketchiest time of the fucking day, which is like at nighttime, deep into the fucking night, where like the kind of like worst of humanity tends to come out. So like you could say like what kind of contributes to his downward spiral is a lot of different things, but ultimately I think one of the biggest things about it is that he kind of put himself in a bubble to where the most of what he's witnessing is the worst of what humanity offers.
Yeah.
So I agree. It's a really great movie. It's really tough because Scorsese has so many fucking great movies, but I'm not sure if it would crack my personal top 5. Like if we're talking objective, I would definitely put it in my top 5.
Yeah.
But like personal top 5, I don't think it would crack it. But I think it is like an undeniably fantastic film, and it's incredibly influential in a lot of ways as well.
I do want to say, fun fact about the film, Paul Schrader actually had a really terrible stomach ulcer when he wrote the script for Taxi Driver, and you can kind of see that in the film when Travis Bickle is talking about you're only as healthy as you feel, and that he has stomach cancer. That kind of ties into Paul Schrader having a stomach ulcer when he wrote the script. And I think what's interesting about Taxi Driver is how ambiguous the ending is. Like, it's very interpretable. Like, I'm for certain I know of what happened in the film, but I could easily see someone like arguing, taking it in a more literal sense. But I don't think you're supposed to take the ending of that movie too literally in terms of what happens to Travis. And honestly, fun fact, Scorsese, he had to desaturate the color in like the climatic scene of that movie in order to get an R rating. And because with the blood in the movie, he wanted candy color red. The studio, they did that. They thought it was too violent. And we watch Taxi Driver nowadays and we're like, this is not violent. This is tame, this is nothing. But people don't think about like back in 1976, how shocking this movie was to show this like outsider cinema,
Yeah. Even in the very end, even though it's not super gory, I always find it really upsetting. Just like the sound design at the very end, where like you hear a guy like kind of screaming and echoing, and of course the camera does that amazing like bird's eye shot at the very end where you kind of see everything that he supposedly did. It's just like such a shocking, like aggressive ending. That movie's inspired just almost everything that we love in like modern day cinema comes from Taxi Driver, at least like the good movies to borrow from Taxi Driver. So I think that's a great way to kick it off. And I'm sure someone else also has that on their list, but let's go clockwise. Blaire, do you want to do your number 5 next?
Sure. So for my number 5, it is the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, directed by Tobe Hooper.
Love it.
I think I would go as far as to say, like in terms of like that horror convention of like the movies you think about when you think of horror films, I think it is the best at its genre. I love this movie to death. I've seen it a dozen times, and
Me too.
it it really like it's like considered a slasher to a lot of people, but it is very much not like any of the slashers I can think of, like newer,
Mhm.
old or older. Like even Halloween is just very different because Texas Chainsaw Massacre is so visceral. Like that is the perfect word to describe it. Is it's visceral and it's very atmospheric and suspenseful. I love obviously that kind of like raw-ish documentary style filmmaking.
Mhm.
The lack of a soundtrack, it feeling like this is just some kind of like lost footage or something
Yeah.
you would see like brought up as like a matter of fact cautionary tale and not necessarily like a cinematic piece. Yeah, it's such like a brisk fucking film. Like it goes by so fast. Like to me, it doesn't overstay its welcome. It like sets up
80
the kind of
minutes.
cast of characters and just puts them in this horrible situation and this fucking yeah, in this like nightmare scenario for anybody who goes like on a road trip. Those like last 30 minutes are just pure nightmare fuel. It's and this is a movie that like I watched as a kid. So a lot of these scenes that are like horrifying in the film has just stuck with me like my whole life and traumatized me ever since. And yeah, I think it's a perfect
Yeah.
horror film that is never gonna lose its power and its relevance, honestly. So yeah, Texas Chainsaw Massacre for me.
Yeah, dude. That and one thing I really love about that film too is that, as you mentioned, it has this very like raw and authentic feel to it, but at the same time, it manages to also make a way for I mean, specifically one huge segment in the film that feels so like surreal and nightmarish. You know exactly probably which segment I'm
Mhm.
talking about.
Yeah,
I just think it's really cool how it's able to again make it seem like it's kind of like you said, like with the aesthetic and everything that it has going for it, like a piece of lost footage, but at the same time still delivering something that almost feels like it's not of this world.
Yeah.
oh yeah, yeah,
And I
I
feel like a lot of that stylistically, because he shot it on like 16 millimeter, 8 millimeter, one of them. But it's like I always describe the movie as like a VHS tape you'd find in like an abandoned slaughterhouse or something. So it feels so
yeah.
raw and it feels so grounded. And I just want to say that's my number 6 film of the 70s. It's my personal favorite horror movie
Yeah,
of all time. And I totally agree with everything Blair said. It's the most perfectly paced and perfectly atmospheric horror movie I think that exists, at least in the American canon. And yeah, it's the one movie that could still scare the ever living shit out of me, even at this age. I just love it, and it's almost unmatched in the American canon of horror, in my opinion. It's just
Yeah, that's how I
perfect,
feel too.
just
It's
so
it's
perfect.
incredible.
Sorry to interrupt, Perry.
Oh no, you're fine. I was just gonna say to springboard off of what Blair said is I think calling Texas Chainsaw Massacre a slasher is really doing the film a disservice because there's so many different themes that you could you know get out of the film. And I think what's interesting is how the Vietnam War
Yeah,
was taking place at the same time, Texas Chainsaw Massacre was made, and you could see it as an allegory, as an allegory for the Vietnam War. How these soldiers these naive soldiers who were disillusioned were basically led into a slaughterhouse, and you can also see the pro veganism
hmm,
message behind the film because the Sawyer family embody the barbaric nature of animal slaughter, and it's taking the humans and saying this is all you are. You're just animals. You're just meat. You're nothing more. It's stripping away like uh this idea that just because we have emotions and cognitive thought, and that we can, speak and whatnot. That like that our life has like some like greater value, but at the end of the day, we're just meat, just like the animals in the slaughterhouse.
Mm-hmm. The characters are very much treating like about the quality that like humans treat animals in the real world, which is like a horrifying like mirror that Toby Hooper showed to like its audience, I think.
Yeah, like human cattle. Yeah. I love it.
It's like an art. It's really an art house. So like
it's an art piece.
It's a horror film, but it is like also an art house film. It's so great.
The cinematography, the editing, the framing is all like, it feels like an art installation in some ways, just like an avant-garde. Exactly what Perry and you guys were saying, like thematically explores it just so deeply, and not hitting you over the head with any of it. It's all like interpretive too, and like put it in context when it came out in the early 70s. It's just, oh God, I love it. I would take a whole class on that film itself and just what it means to America and everything.
I love this film to death.
It's incredible. Yeah. Carlos, you want to go next?
Oh, hell yeah, sure. All right. So my number 5 ranked film of the 1970s is a film called The Ascent. The Ascent, which is written and directed by Larissa Shepitko. She was actually married to the director of Come and See, which I think by memory is Elam Kilmanov or something like that.
Elmore Kilnoff, I believe.
Yeah.
I really butchered it, but yeah.
This actually came out before Come and See, if I'm not mistaken. This is a brilliantly made film. To me, this film's a masterpiece. I have a whole review on it on the channel if you want to hear my more extensive thoughts on it. But this film like unexpectedly blew me away. I mean, I expected it to be good because pretty much everybody I talked to had so many great things to say about it. Blair, I think, saw this before I did, and she had nothing.
No, I actually saw it after the fact.
Oh, really?
Sorry, off.
Saw
it was just.
Oh, it was Perry.
It was Perry, yeah.
Yeah, and then Perry was giving it such high praise. So, of course, I'm going to fucking, take that to heart. So I watched it and I was like, damn, yeah, this movie is masterful. I just didn't expect it to be so, like, creatively directed and presented, because there's so much about this film where you can tell that somebody's personality and vision behind the camera is being envisioned right in front of you. Like, in particular, a lot of the use of sound and sound design in this film really goes a long way here. There's a very creative use of sound design that really elevates, the kind of psychological element that this movie has, because it does take place during World War II in occupied Belarus, I believe that's in. And it's basically a film that's incredibly philosophical. There's a lot that this film explores in regards to how, it kind of explores that conundrum, that moral conundrum of whether it's morally okay to, die with a sense of like moral conviction, or is it acceptable to kind of compromise your morals in order to survive longer? And I think it explores that incredibly well. And again, like, just as this film progresses, it gets even more and more intense. The themes start becoming even more rich. And again, that sound design, there's a scene in the third act that is just completely elevated by the sound design and just the vision overall. And overall, just very, very, very impressed by this film. I really, really loved it. I don't want to go as far as to say that I like it more than Come and See, but I'll just say that it's at least in my personal opinion, I actually think it's on par with Come and See.
Really?
I know that
it is amazing. It's a masterpiece in my opinion too. Yeah.
Yeah, like it's, oh my God, it's just
very different from Come and See, but yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Come and See is just like absolutely like relentless, like shit that's like it's super difficult to watch on every phase, but obviously it's fantastic in its own merit. The Ascent's also difficult to watch, but that's like not necessarily what it's like set out to do. I mean, it's supposed to be hard to watch, but it has like a different kind of approach in mind, and I think it really exceeds in it.
It has like a spiritual element, weirdly enough.
Yes,
Like,
absolutely.
It feels like a weirdly martyristic spiritual journey that's very hard to watch for the
Yes.
characters.
Wow.
Thank you for bringing that up.
Gotta watch that.
Yeah, it does feel very spiritual in that way. And the camera work is fucking great. It's very creative use of camera throughout the film, and it's a film that just really sticks with you. More people should talk about it because I think it's a really overlooked movie in general.
Amazing. I love how husband and wife, those two directors, made two of the best anti-war movies of all time. It's pretty
great.
Yeah. And
Kino
couple. And Elmore Kilmoff retired after Come and See You, which is just so crazy to me. But I'm sure we're going to talk about that during the 80s episode. So
is it Elmore? I thought it was Elim Klimov.
Yeah, like I said, I butchered the name so bad. I'm sorry. It's very.
We're all failures. No,
I don't speak Prussian. I don't know.
Prussian.
I don't speak commie.
Yeah, I don't speak that red language.
Oh shit.
That's a great pick, and all of these have been so good so far. Honestly, it's gonna be so hard to pick the top 10. But I'll do my number 5 now. One of my favorite directors of all time is Robert Altman. Who, in my opinion, dominated the 70s along with Francis Ford Coppola, just in terms of output and quality of films. Like, I almost picked McCabe and Mrs. Miller. I almost picked Long Goodbye. I almost picked California Split and Nashville, which is one of my personal favorite movies. Just an embarrassment of riches in the 70s. It's like incredible how many great films he put out. But my personal favorite and one of my favorite films, like top 20 of all time, is Three Women, which is I think a vastly overlooked film by Robert Altman. But those that have seen it know how incredible it is. And yes. I think some of the main things that we love about Altman as a stylistic director is obviously his use of overlapping dialogue in terms of the sound mixing, but also his very free and sort of like impromptu use of camera, like how it almost feels like documentary-esque a lot of the time, just how free he moves the camera around. And I think all of those stylistic flourishes like really peaked in Three Women, because it's ultimately about a movie about Shelley Duvall and Sissy Spacek, two of the best performances, I think, of the decade, in my opinion, both of them. It's really just about them dealing with how the 70s was socially. I think socially, it was a time where people started to really break off into packs of different like socio-political groups of people, and a lot of people were outcasted. And I think it's really interesting that he chose two women who worked at the film's called Three Women, but I'll get to that in a sec. But two women that worked at like this hospice for older people. And I think there's something really significant to the fact that they latch onto each other. And throughout the film, like you almost feel their personas start to blend together as they're trying to climb this social hierarchy in their apartment building, but are just fail from time to time to like gain any attention from their neighbors and like love interests throughout the movie. And it becomes like deeply upsetting and really and like what Perry was saying about Travis Bickle, like there's moments of pure just relatability of your psyche that you see through these eyes of these two women. And it's just so fascinating. I think Altman was really commenting on the fact that there's so much going on in the world, like politically, like you mentioned with Vietnam, and like just this whole movement of like new artists and like capitalism and like everything rising up during this time, that we just like forget how to interact as human beings. And I think that's what that movie ultimately is about. And like it can drive a person crazy when they're like desperately trying to find their place in the world and they're just like kind of shoved aside. And like the use of overlapping dialogue, like you always hear different conversations on the periphery while these two girls are talking in their building. And it's just it's such a hypnotic and just weirdly comforting aesthetic in this movie, but also just it's so scary. I find this movie like deeply disturbing and really relevant. So I think again, Altman is such a master. I almost picked Nashville too, but like I feel like I have more of a personal connection to Three Women. And like I said, Sissy Spacek and Shelley Duvall are just phenomenal in this movie, and definitely check it out. But that's my number 5 for my top 5 list.
I love that.
That's my personal favorite Altman as well. I love Three Women.
Yeah, I think Jake made the right decision putting it over Nashville, and I love Nashville. I think
I love it too.
Excellent, but I think Three Women is actually Altman's best film, and I actually think it takes a lot of inspiration from Persona, and I always talk about how Persona and Three Women and Mulholland Drive would be just a great trilogy of films to watch. Films to watch together.
I've said the same thing actually. Like, with Mulholland Drive and Persona, they're like all feel like they're cut from the same cloth in a way. In their explorations of the psyche. But Carlos, have you seen that movie? I forget.
Hell yeah, dude. I love Three Women. I actually have a whole review for it. I love that movie. It's hard for me to pick like which one it's hard to pick my favorite Robert Altman film because I am deeply in love with Shortcuts as well. Yeah. So
The Player is great.
I mean, if I had to choose, I'd probably lean more towards Shortcuts, honestly. But Three Women is still like fantastic. It's definitely my second favorite, without a doubt.
Mm-hmm. Wow, I'm glad you all unanimously love that movie because like a lot of people bring that up when you talk about Altman and they haven't seen it or heard of it. Like they'd mentioned Shortcuts. Yeah, they met like even MASH, which I don't think is that good at all. I think that's like what Perry said. I think it's his masterpiece. I think it's doing a lot of what Nashville's doing in terms of exploration and stylistic, like really experimental stuff with the sound and camera, like in Nashville, but on a more personal level. And that's why I like it more. And just a more focused narrative. And obviously Nashville is really great, but that's an honorable mention though. Nashville. I love that movie too. So, okay. Yeah. Perry, you want to do number 5 next? 4. Sorry. Yeah.
All right. Yeah. So now we actually get to my favorite film of all time. I'm wearing the t-shirt. I have the poster right behind me. Y'all probably can't see it that well.
You get the lights on.
The fan is rolling. It's going to mess with the audio, so I'm going to turn the lights off. But there's my Clockwork Orange poster. So, a Clockwork Orange is, I mean, like at the age of 17, it was literally a Clockwork Orange and Taxi Driver were like my obsession when it comes to film. I've never seen something so boundary pushing in my life at that time. And I honestly could not stop thinking about a Clockwork Orange. And I mean, y'all talked about films, like y'all talked about Daisy, which has some of the best editing ever. A Clockwork Orange has some of the best editing ever. Like, you have to put it in the conversation with films like Daisy, films like All That Jazz, films like another film, Requiem for a Dream, in terms of some of the best editing of all time. And I mean, again, A Clockwork Orange is such an influential film. You see a lot of influence in, I think a great example is Mikhail Haneke's Funny Games. I think the Clockwork Orange influence in that one is undeniable. And I just love how this film deals with this, this thesis of, okay, is it better to strip away someone's morality to quote unquote create a better world, a much more ideal society, or is it better to just let humans decide for themselves how to behave and how to interact with one another? I think it's a very important film about moral choice. And I also think what's really interesting about the film is the recurring number of 4. You see 4 Nazis in the film. There's 4 members of the gang. And it's kind of like it's alluding to the apocalypse. And it's like Stanley Kubrick is alluding to how mankind's apocalypse is not going to be some virus. It's not going to be some plague. It's going to be our own human nature that is the very thing that destroys us. Yes, it is a very quote unquote ultra violent film, but I think the film ultimately is about harmony, and it's about morality. And I think I honestly I actually prefer the film to the novel. The novel is one of my favorite books of all time. But I think what's interesting is it only adapts 20 chapters out of the 21 chapters of the novel. And the 21st chapter of the novel completely changes the meaning of the film, because you hear Alex say, "Oh, I'm cured, all right," when in reality, it's just going to go back to what he did in the first act of the movie. He's going to go back to the ultra violent. But again, it's asking us, like, it's presenting that moral dilemma to the audience of whether it's better to try to like impose, whether it's better for a government to impose what they believe an idealized society should be and how people should behave, or whether people should be allowed to choose for themselves what they do. And I think that's really interesting. And I think that's one of like a key thing that makes it one of the most important films of all time. Outside of just from a filmmaking perspective, I mean, Stanley Kubrick is arguably the greatest filmmaker of all time.
He is the greatest filmmaker of all time.
We'll get to that later. But
different podcast though.
Yeah,
that would take a while.
Yeah, but but from a filmmaking perspective, it's literally perfection. It's just pure perfection. And again, Malcolm McDowell gives one of the fiercest performances in cinematic history. And when you talk about greatest character arcs of all time, you have to put Alexander Delarge in that conversation. His character arc is just perfection. Just to see, his downfall to his rise, and how his life changes and how he changes as a person. It's just such an incredible film. And I love the way it deals with violence in film and how it influences us. Again, I think that was an influence on Mikel Haneke, again, with the film like Funny Games. But that's all I'll say for Clockwork Orange right now, because I could talk about this film all day. Do that.
Yeah, man. I mean, you're totally right. And Kubrick, I mean, you said he's one of the greatest filmmakers of all time, and I feel like this is, I think this is truly encompasses everything that made him great as a director. I mean, we've talked about 2001, which is obviously a seminal film, but like, Clockwork Orange is transgressive as hell, and I think Kubrick, like, he had a dark side to his artistry, and I think he wanted to explore things that were not as socially acceptable at a really boundary pushing time in the early 70s. And I recently rewatched Clockwork after years of not seeing it, and it absolutely holds up. I think even next to 2001 and like Barry Lyndon, I think stylistically holds up and is one of his most timeless films, even though it's really boundary pushing and transgressive and really split the audience at the time. And Malcolm McDowell was brilliant. Maybe the best Kubrick performance ever. So yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Sorry.
What I love so much about Stanley Kubrick is that he made this after he made 2001: A Space Odyssey. And like 2001: A Space Odyssey, it's like, obviously I mean, in my opinion, it's pretty much the greatest film ever made. Yes. But it's like, I mean, it's like a G to PG rated movie at the end of the day in terms of like content, or like pretty much anybody can watch that movie, not get offended by the content or anything. And then he established himself like incredibly. I mean, he did it with Strangelove, but after 2001, it was like, it's almost like the world stopped. People started to realize like this fucking guy is like gonna be legendary as hell. But he didn't. I love how he didn't play it safe after that. Literally, after he made, at the time, to be a G-rated movie, the very next movie he makes is an X-rated movie.
Yeah.
And I just love that he has that level of audacity of just like not giving a shit. And he's like, look, not only am I going to make something that's on an extremely low budget in comparison to something like 2001. I think he made Clockwork Orange with $1 million, which even by today's standards is really fucking low. So like not only did he like limit himself incredibly budget wise from his previous project, then he goes on to make an X-rated movie that is still today like extremely controversial. You can't just show anybody a Clockwork Orange. Like you can't just show, hey mom, let's fucking watch Clockwork. Like you just can't do that shit.
Perfect first date movie.
Yeah, like I mean, obviously considering everything that's came out like afterwards and even some of it before, like, yeah, I guess in the spectrum of it all, it's not like the most explicit movie. But still, like it's a really fucking disturbing movie in terms of how it's presented and all the situations that it shows. And yeah, like it's a very fucking bold and audacious piece of filmmaking. And to see him again go from something like 2001: A Space Odyssey to 2001: A Space Odyssey to A Clockwork Orange, I don't know. I just respect that so fucking much from Stanley Kubrick.
What really annoys me is when people talk about A Clockwork Orange and they sound so edgy when they're like, oh, it's not that disturbing. It literally has multiple rape scenes. You jaded sick fuck. How is it not disturbing?
I feel like those people are comparing it to like a Serbian film or Salo, where they're like, it didn't make me gag, but it's like the implications. Like, you gotta be a fucked up person not to feel anything.
Just because you watch fucking snuff films in your off time does not mean that fucking Clockwork Orange is not disturbing as hell.
Right.
When I first watched A Clockwork Orange, it had been like the first art house movie. Well, one of the first art house movies I've ever seen in it.
Me too.
It was really unlike anything I've ever seen because I was so like fascinated by like its very nihilistic hedonism at the beginning of the film. It's obviously has a point to it. It's not just mindless hedonism. Like in terms of the film. And then at the second half of the movie being this like genuinely disturbing, not necessarily from a content perspective, but just from like a deeply psychological perspective. It's very unsettling, very disturbing. I mean, Perry mentions the rape scenes. That's not even like the most disturbing part of the film to me, and I feel like most people would agree is like the scene where he's watching like that the footage in the theater with his eyes pried wide open. Like that shit is like
Perry's shirt right there.
Traumatizing.
The Ludovico treatment is what it's called.
Yeah, it's a great scene. A really unsettling scene.
That scene, dude. I still remember the fucking night I watched that. I watched that on my own in the middle of the fucking night. And it just fucking, I mean, it stapled itself into my psyche and I just could not shake it forever. Like, I still remember the very moment where I was witnessing that scene and I was just like,
me too. My mind was pretty fucking blown after that scene. I was like, holy fuck.
I read the book actually first, funny enough, because I read it in school and I liked the book too, but like shortly after I was still into movies too. And I was honestly scared to watch A Clockwork Orange because of the reputation that preceded it. But I was like, no, and I'd seen 2001 and a few others. I'm like, no, this might be like not only Kubrick's best film, but like one of the best like portrayals of this like allegory that he's explored in the book, and one of the best adaptations put to screen. Because like the set design in this movie and like the way the world is laid out is so inherently cinematic, and like I would say the same for The Shining, where it's just it's what an adaptation should be, to personify the themes and everything in every aspect of what's shown on camera. So and of course the performances as well, and encompassing the characters and everything. So
yeah, by the way, Clockwork Orange was basically, I watched it when I was 16, and it was basically like the film that made me realize that filmmaking might be something that I want to pursue. Like it was that film for sure, where I was like, I would just love to be able to pursue something in my life that involves like an art form that I think is so impactful. And it was A Clockwork Orange, just the style and the impact of it all that just kind of made me realize I kind of want to, give this a shot. I mean, I would have included it in my top 5, but Perry let me have one film that I'm going to share with you later. So I decided I'll let him have a Clockwork Orange. That way we can have some diversity in our top 5. But everybody who knows me knows that A Clockwork Orange is like one of my favorite films of all time. I used to be my favorite film of all time, period. But it got replaced by something else that I also don't want to spoil. Still very up there though. Like still like way, way high up there. My favorite films of all time. It's fucking incredible.
It's funny because one thing we actually, Blair, Carlos, and myself got to see this on the big screen, and it's honestly probably my favorite theater experience of all time. But funny enough, when Carlos and I met, like Carlos, Blair, and myself, when we met, Carlos was like, A Clockwork Orange is my favorite film, and I'm half Hispanic and I'm half Caucasian. I'm like, no way, me too. It's like from then we just knew we were in heaven, as they say.
Where was that? Was that like a film class?
No, it was at a movie theater I used to work at. It was at a Regal I used to work at.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, Blair and I went to go watch 3 Billboards, and then Perry was like the fucking like ticket guy that would like, you know, rip your tickets and tell you which theater to go to. And then he was like, "Oh, you guys are gonna go watch 3 Billboards." And we were like, "Hell yeah, dude!" And he's like, "Oh yeah, I've seen it. It's fucking great." I don't know if he said he's seen it or if he heard of it and he heard it was great. I don't remember. It was such a long time ago. But all I know is that like he knew that we were watching Kino, and that really interested in him because where we live, it's like rare to see people have good taste in cinema.
True.
And I'm not trying to like beef myself up, but like the standard around here is pretty low.
I remember that day so vividly, honestly.
Yeah, me too. It's stapled into my memory.
It's like an origin story of the channel, basically.
Yeah,
it kind of is.
It is.
Funny enough, I wasn't even supposed to work that night. Like I literally just picked up someone's shift.
Oh,
so
wow.
Picking up that shift was
That's crazy.
the greatest decision I've ever made in my life.
That's so fucking crazy.
That's
dude.
so wholesome.
Love that.
On that note, Blair, you were next, right? You're number 4.
I believe so.
Yes.
Yep. So this is a film I saw for the first time last year. I'm gonna grab it. It's A Woman Under the Influence by John Cassavetes.
Oh, hell yeah.
I'm just gonna show off the box set because it's included in the box set. It's this one. But yeah, honestly, this movie is one of the most upsetting movies I've ever seen, period. Like this movie, I've seen a lot of shit in terms of content and in terms of like, psychological stuff. And this movie just made me like really upset. It's a great kind of character study. And like, it mostly is a character study, and it kind of shows off like the dynamic between the main character and like her environment and her peers and her husband. And fuck, man, everybody is pretty familiar with John Cassavetes, like kind of, I forget the word. His kind of like, fuck.
Are you talking about mumblecore, like improvisational style?
Improvisational style. Thank you, Perry. Yeah. It works really fucking well in this film. I've only seen Opening Night and Shadows in this film, and I don't think this is going to be top. This film is fucking, it's really like brilliant and on an emotion level, on a performance level. And it's really stuck with me ever since I watched it. It's genuinely one of the best films for me of the 70s, and one of the best character studies in movie history for me anyways. I mean, A Clockwork Orange obviously is up there, and so is Taxi Driver. But yeah, I think this film deserves to be in that conversation. It's brilliant. I love it with all my heart.
Yeah, man. Fucking Gina Rowland's performance in that movie is one of the best acting performances I've seen ever in my entire life.
I agree.
Yes,
Gina Rowland is fucking insane in the movie. Like, she's like, her performance is insane. It's like so good.
Yeah,
it is. I'm gonna reserve my thoughts because that is on my list as well, higher up.
Shit, nice.
I I want to say so much right now, but I'll save it because I love that film so much. But I agree with everything you said. Rest assured. Perry, did you say or no, sorry, Blair, like what other Cassavetes did you see?
I've seen Opening Night for a discussion on the Misfit Pond, and I've also seen
Nice.
Shadows, his debut film.
Oh yeah, good one.
I need to see Faces and fucking Killing of a Chinese Bookie
Chinese
and all that.
Bookie's great. I was gonna make a quick recommendation to people for my other two favorite Cassavetes, which are Husbands and Love Streams, which I think are both absolutely incredible films. So they're not in the box set, unfortunately, but seek them out because they are
I own
so
Love
incredible.
Streams, actually, but I haven't seen it.
Goodness gracious, yeah, they will tear your heart out.
I really want to see The Killing of a Chinese Deer.
The Killing of a Chinese Bookie.
Yeah. Sorry, I just had to make a joke. Stupid. I'm fucking stupid. I'm sorry.
No.
I almost had a stroke when you said that. I'm like, wait, it was.
I thought Carlos was having a stroke. I'm like,
yeah, I was like, what? They call the yeah.
I'm not feeling too hot, guys.
Anyway, Mr. Stroke, what's your number 4?
Okay, my number 4. I don't own the Blu-ray or anything of it, unfortunately. But I am actually planning to very soon. But my number 4 is The Holy Mountain, which is written and directed by Alejandro Jodorowsky. This film is, to put it simply, it is without a doubt that there is, unlike any film that like The Holy Mountain. This film is the most unique film that stands alone more than anything I've ever seen. It is, I mean, in every single way, this film is just so entertaining, so boundary pushing, so artful, so beautifully presented. It's visionary in so many ways. I mean, obviously, this is not a film for everybody. This is really, honestly, only a film for people who appreciate art. Like, I don't really see anybody who doesn't like respect art or really appreciate it on a deeper level to really like this movie. I mean, I guess if you're just like really edgy and want to see some fucked up shit or something, then yeah, maybe. But like, besides that, like, this is a film that like is so boundary pushing and just has so much to say. Like, every single fucking frame and scene of this movie is a comment on something, whether it's religion or some philosophical idea or some sort of societal idea or something about humanity in general. Like, every single scene in this movie is saying something about something, and I just really appreciate it for that. And it's just, again, it's fucking batshit. This is definitely up there as one of the most absolute batshit movies I have ever seen in my entire life. Just absolutely like has, I mean, no resistance at all in what it wants to show and what it wants to go for. Jodorowsky is just like, whatever he fucking cooked up in his head, he was just going to show it. Like, absolutely fucking like, no like second thoughts about showcasing what he wanted to convey in his film. Really, really great all around. I mean, the production design, the color, the camera work, the costume, editing, the sound, everything is absolutely amazing. And again, this is definitely, as I was trying to kind of say earlier, it's avant-garde experimental filmmaking. Like, you don't go into this film like expecting a narrative. This is not a narrative-based movie. I mean, there is a narrative here, but it's not about that really at all. Overall, this film is an absolute experience. I am dying to see this film on the big screen. I would love to see this film in a packed crowd, honestly. But yeah, this film is just absolutely incredible in every way possible. It's psychedelic, but also meaningful. And I mean, Alejandro Jodorowsky, I think, crafted this out of like a 14-page script, which is insane. Or it was even less. I don't remember off the top of my head. All I know is that it was a really, really short script. And the rest is history. His imagination went wild, and he created something that is not only just fucking disturbing, insane, beautiful, and meaningful, but something that is just like the most unique thing that you'll probably ever see. But yeah, Holy Mountain, fucking incredible. I love it.
Good pick.
It really is a one-of-a-kind movie. Like, even Jodorowsky with his weird fucking filmmaking is never gonna never replicated the same insane style and experience that Holy Mountain is, and no filmmaker will, like, honestly.
Mhm. I was actually going to include it on my top 5, but it was a bit of a trade-off with Carlos. I'm like, well, I'm going to include Clockwork Orange, and I'll let you have the Holy Mountain.
Is that that's the trade?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that was
That
a
makes
trade.
sense. Yeah. Nice.
Yeah, I would have included it, but I knew Carlos was going to bring it up, so I was like, okay, that's fine.
Thank y'all so much.
I look bad because I still haven't seen the Holy Mountain, and it's
Oh,
like,
man.
you know why? Because I've been waiting to see it on the big screen, because I have a lot of friends who would say that's one of their favorite films as well, and they're like, you have to see it on the big screen. And I've been kind of waiting, but I might just watch it and say fuck it, because I've been dying to see it. Well, a hot take I kind of do have. Carlos might be pissed at me for this, but I saw El Topo on the big screen about a year ago. My friend Antonio, one of his favorite films. Shout out to him. I know he listens to the pod. I didn't love that movie. I might have not been in the mood to be assaulted by how just insane that everything you were saying about the Holy Mountain. So I was just curious, like, are those movies like very similar in tone, or is one easier than the other?
They're very different, honestly.
Okay, I've been dying to know, because I don't want to like write off Jodorowsky, because like
No.
Topo was like I had a headache by the end of it. And
So El Topo, that film is like, okay, it's my least favorite Jodorowsky film. I still really like it a lot. Don't get me wrong. I do like that movie quite a bit, but I think that the Holy Mountain offers a whole lot more than that film does.
Okay.
I think that, like, I mean, in pretty much every way possible, it's like elevated. So, I mean, I don't know it depends on what you didn't like about El Topo. Like, if you didn't like the batshit element of it, then maybe you won't be that huge in the Holy Mountain.
No. I think it was just the repetition of, and because I know the Holy Mountain is pretty loose on narrative as well, but like El Topo was like, I might be pronouncing it wrong, but I think structurally that movie just fucked with me.
It does meander and is weird.
Because like, I don't know if you know what I'm talking about, but like there's a point in the movie where I thought the movie was over when a certain character dies, and it kind of continues.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
And again, I might have not known what I was getting into, but yeah, I'm just really curious how that compares to Holy Mountain, so I can go in with like a fresher take on it.
Experience, honestly.
Okay.
Really.
Yeah. Like, if you see, that's the thing. Since you said that was your problem, I think that you'll dig the Holy Mountain. I feel pretty confident now. Like, if you were to say like, oh, you just didn't like, I don't know, like Jodorowsky's style or like his audacity, I'd be like, okay.
Oh no, of course not. Yeah.
But like, I think, again, to me, like, all of his like batshit elements are incorporated, in my opinion, like in the best possible way in the Holy Mountain, as opposed to El Topo. But I mean, I still like El Topo, but the Holy Mountain is, to me, like on a whole other level.
Yeah.
Nice. Santa Sangre is the other one I really want to see.
That one's fucking amazing. That's actually my personal favorite Jodorowsky film.
Ooh,
because I mentioned this in my Set the Sangre review, but I said that like it just kind of if you like Jodorowsky's batshit elements, but want to see him actually incorporate that into like a more cohesive narrative, that's like the perfect film to watch. Like, that film has like more characters that you follow, that have arcs. Has something that's a little bit more like, you can actually follow narratively in a way that you haven't really experienced yet. Like, Set the Sangre is that film, and it was made in Mexico too, which is a plus.
It's emotionally rich, even though it's not. It does have a narrative, but it's still not. It's not like any narratives you're fucking familiar with. It's very unique in its own way.
Yep.
Damn. All right, I got to do my Jodorowsky homework.
Yeah, I love
Also,
that. I love that director a lot. I'm happy
yeah.
that Carlos took to him. Not to toot my own horn, but I feel like I pushed Carlos to watch
Oh, yeah.
Arresty initially. So
Yep, you did. In
I'm
fact.
glad it worked.
Yes. Well, I'm glad it's on there nonetheless because we have more avant-garde stuff. So to diversify everything, it's a good thing for the top, for your top five for sure. And I will watch it sometime. Hopefully, it's on the big screen one day. My number 4. This is a very, I don't know if y'all would agree with this pick, but it's a very personal pick. But it's a movie that means the world to me. Also in like my top 50 favorite films of all time. Hal Ashby's Harold and Maude, which I absolutely love this movie. Shout out to my roommate Brendan, who was on the podcast before. He was on the Underrated Criterions episode. He introduced me to this movie when very early on in our friendship because this is his favorite movie of all time. And I was ignorant to Hal Ashby and that even honestly that whole style of writing, which I truly believe was kind of birthed from not only Hal Ashby, but in that 70s period. So this is kind of like I wanted to pick a movie where I think it's one of my favorite scripts of all time, but I find this movie very comforting in a lot of ways. It's not just the score by Cat Stevens that's just tremendous and how witty and lighthearted this movie can be, but I really think this is one of the first movies that really displayed mental illness in a young person in a really it's done in an allegorical way because obviously Bud Cort's character Harold is constantly having these very over the top suicides that are comical, but in its repetition you start to realize like this obviously this kid's unwell, but it's trying to make a point about like how sometimes our parents don't know what the fuck's going on with us mentally, and that resonated with me so deeply. And just like the friendship he forms with Maude, I think is so profound and like how it contrasts to that element throughout the film. And I think really I don't know if you guys feel the same way, but I think it really resonates with like really timeless thing about, you know, the dealing with depression and mental illness and how just a singular friendship, no matter how weird and off-putting it is. I mean, it turns romantic towards the end, which gets really bizarre. But just a simple friendship in life can really change your outlook on life. And just that single person can really make a change and kind of a ripple effect. And Harold's arc in this movie, I think, is really beautiful. And this movie isn't for everyone because the tone is just so bizarre. And like it is a mix of just comfort, bizarre comedy, and really dark and twisted jokes. But I think Hal Ashby's a brilliant filmmaker who adapted a lot of great scripts in the 70s. I think this is his masterpiece. And this is my ode to my roommate because he loves this film, but it's become one of my favorite films as well. So check out Harold and Maude if you haven't, but I absolutely love this film and really personal pick, but I love it so much. Yeah.
I also dig that film quite a bit. I know that Cynic, shout out to Cynic in the Discord, is gonna love to hear that whenever he gets a chance to hear it. That's like one of his favorite films of all time. I'm sure he would have also included it in his top 5 of the 70s as well.
Oh, nice. Cool. It is such that niche thing where it's a lot of people's favorite movies of all time, you know, like really a really niche market. And if it hits home with you, it really hits home. But I love it to death. Oh yeah, and another Hal Ashby. A few quick recommendations: The Last Detail and Being There with Peter Sellers is hilarious political satire. Almost picked that honestly for an honorable mention, but yeah, I just love Hal Ashby.
Being There is really great.
Such a hilarious movie.
Shout out to Blake Bergman, Various Spaghetti. He loves Being There, and he I believe he requested it to me like last year, and I loved it.
Oh yes, yeah. Such a great film. Were you saying something, Perry? Sorry. You look like you wanted to.
Oh, I knew he was gonna say spaghetti, so I was saying spaghetti.
Oh, really?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah, Perry, go ahead with your number 3 if you are ready to go.
So my number 3 is one of the most celebrated films of all time, so I'm not going to dwell on it too long. And of course, I could have picked many Coppola films, but I had to go with Francis Ford Coppola's Best Picture winner, The Godfather.
Yeah.
I mean, what can I say about this film that hasn't already been said?
Yeah.
And I know that's a very cliche thing to say, but it's the truth.
It's true. Yeah.
When it comes to The Godfather, obviously, I think the film is amazing and one of the greatest films ever made. But I would also like to say I've seen The Godfather. I've had the privilege to see The Godfather twice on the big screen. Once for a family event, and then once I got to see it in Dolby for that 50th anniversary.
Mm-hmm. I did that too. Incredible.
Yeah, I saw it in the big screen too. It was fucking amazing.
God, yeah. Just like the textures and the score and everything just feels so timeless seeing it on the big screen. And yeah, one of the most perfect movies ever made.
I have never seen The Godfather.
No way, really?
1 or 2.
Not expect
cinema sin.
I know.
That's Eric. Blaire. That's fucked.
It has a good chance of changing this year. It could change this year.
I respect it.
It needs to change tomorrow.
I respect it because it's crazy you've gone this long without watching it. That's awesome.
I know, right? I've seen.
Keep it up.
I'm trying to think of what the fuck I've seen before this fucking movie. I don't know. I've seen a lot of bullshit, but not Godfather.
We all have our gaps too, man. Honestly,
Blaire has seen the fucking Vomit Gore trilogy, but hasn't
you see, that's the one.
Right.
That's the one I was gonna mention. I was like, maybe I shouldn't fucking disgrace Cinebums audience with a Vomit Gore trilogy. I've seen that.
Hey, it's for some people that's their Godfather. So,
oh God, if that's your Godfather, stay the fuck away from me.
I will put the Vomit Gore trilogy above the Godfather trilogy any day of the week.
Base king.
Carlos is welcomed into a new channel on YouTube and celebrate new podcast about that movie. One thing I will add to The Godfather, it has my favorite montage in the history of film during the baptism scene. I think is one of the most perfectly edited and meaningful bits of cinema I think ever. And then obviously leading to the closed door, which is maybe the greatest closing shot in cinema. It's like, how the fuck can Coppola top himself? We'll see. He almost does with a few other films, but yeah, you can't say a bad thing about Godfather. I'd be really shocked. Say if Blaire watches it and it's like, yeah, it's mid. 3 out of 5. Yeah.
He's gonna say it insists upon itself, Lois.
It insists upon itself. Insist upon itself. What does that even mean?
Francis Ford Coppola was just in Atlanta. He stopped by our local art theater, the Plaza.
Oh, no way.
Yeah,
for the screening of Dracula.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, my friend from film school, his name is Akshay. He actually worked alongside him as his personal assistant through his new film, Megalopolis.
No way.
That's why he was in Atlanta. Yeah. He showed me pictures of him eating dinner with his family and everything. That's how I know he's not bullshitting.
God damn, let's get him on the pod.
Yeah.
We'll know everything about that. Yeah, great.
Cool, about to top The Godfather with Megalopolis. Am I right?
Oh, he topped it already with Jack.
Adam Driver. Yeah, Jack and Twixt are better than The Godfather. What do you mean?
Let's not forget about The Outsiders. Definitely better than The Godfather.
God, that was a movie that my dad tried to show to me so many times growing up, and I'd always fall asleep. It's not even that bad of a movie. It's just very mid. I never got into it.
Yeah, it's mediocre as hell. Honestly, you'd be much better off watching Rumblefish.
Yeah, just watch Rumblefish for those adaptations, Anyway, we digress. Blaire, your number trace, please.
You know what? So originally it was going to be Taxi Driver, but I'm going to replace it with a movie that I do love.
I think I saw. Yeah.
Oh, you saw.
I saw you make the switcheroo. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so the one I'm gonna go with instead is it is a Japanese horror film that I'm sure a lot of people are aware of. It has a cult following. Fucking even PewDiePie had like a whole video dedicated to it. It's a House from
Nice.
1977.
Hell yeah.
I forget the director's name. That's shitty of me. But House is definitely one of the most like entertaining movies that I've ever seen in my life. It's infinitely rewatchable. And obviously, the film has like a reputation for being absolutely bad shit. And yeah, the film is very silly. It's not a film you're gonna get fucking nightmares going to sleep after watching. But you know what? The context and the backstory of this film is like a little um kind of like disturbing in the sense of, if I'm not mistaken, the confusion of the characters is supposed to like kind of mirror the confusion of Japan during World War II. I hope I got that fact right. I've heard or read that somewhere.
I never heard that. That's crazy.
And I can absolutely see that, like how this kind of situation that these characters get brought up and they literally cannot rationalize their situation at all. And you know what? I love the editing of this film. It kind of reminds me a little bit of Daisies, honestly. Like it's not as revolutionary as Daisy's editing, but it is really unique and has its own kind of like personality to it. Yeah, for anybody who doesn't know about House, like just please watch it. It's one of the most unique horror films of all time, and it's a fucking blast. It even like the beginning, a lot of people don't like the beginning of the film because it's just like characters.
So
yeah, it's just characters like going about their high school shit or their school shit, but I like it. It's charming, it's funny, and it's a nice little prelude to the fucking madness you're about to endure. So yeah,
oh my goodness,
House from 1977.
You opened a can of worms because I could talk about that movie for so long, but I will not. But I'm so glad you picked it. It's one of my favorite films. Also, so good. Go ahead, Perry.
I will also say, I would also like to say House is it's honestly a horror deconstruction film if you also think of it, because all the characters, like their characters are literally like they're named after
the archetypes.
They're and it's like there's a scene that's kind of a nod to Texas Chainsaw Massacre, where they run into the watermelon salesman, and it's kind of like the scene where they run into in Texas Chainsaw Massacre when they run into Tom Sawyer's barbecue play. So in a way, it's kind of ahead of its time as far as being like a horror deconstruction film, because it came out in the 70s, and then it's like this is 2 decades before Scream. This is like a whole decade before Friday the 13th Part 6, Jason Live. So the fact that it's like
Kino.
this self-aware, yeah, definitely Kino.
Part 6.
This, for sure. But the fact that it's a self-aware, like, deconstruction horror film, it's like you really didn't see a lot of that at that time. It is like way ahead of its time in that sense, as well as its editing and what have you.
Oh, the soundtrack is so good for it too. I literally play the soundtrack on Spotify.
It's beautiful. It's beautiful. Amazing. I love the sound cue for the character Kung Fu. Like whenever she does like a move or something, and they like a hilarious like Kung Fu center. It's just like a theme song, like a superhero or something. Yeah, it's so good. Yeah, God, what a great film. I could have this fact incorrect, but I know it was partly written by the director's daughter. Like she helped conceive of some of the ideas, like with the cats and all the goofy shit, which I think is a really cool idea. Like that a kid helped come up with such a masterful deconstruction of horror.
I mean, it does feel like nightmarish. There's a lot of great shots and imagery in this film that really stick with your head.
Yes. Canon. I will vote for it in the top 10 when the time comes, but we'll see about that.
Oh, sorry.
No, yeah, you go ahead. I was gonna say if we can move on, but if you have more to say, go ahead.
I was just gonna say the director also made commercials as well, and you got to think about how like insane Japanese advertising is. So you see a lot of that transfer over into the film.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I was gonna say.
No, totally. Yeah, agree. Carlos is your next. Yeah.
I am. All right. So my number 3, I can't present the Criterion as of now. I own the Criterion, but I allowed my brother-in-law to borrow it, and it's been 5 months, and he just has to see. It's one of those situations where he'll just keep it for 5 months and just not see it. Kind of like what I did to Blair, and I gave him First Cow.
Oh no, Kelly Riker keeps getting brought up, and I was hoping way.
But either way, that's beyond the point. The whole point is that I can't give you the visuals, but my number 3 of the 1970s is David Lynch's Eraserhead. Eraserhead is, I know it's a hot take, but that is my favorite David Lynch film.
Not Blue Velvet.
Not Wild at Heart.
No, definitely not.
Straight Story.
I do love Straight Story though.
Yeah, no, it's great. Yeah.
No, Eraserhead. I actually rewatched this, not only for my review that I did like half a year ago, but I rewatched it a few days ago, for the Discord because we're doing like a Lynch Fest. So like once every week we're watching one of the films that they have on the Criterion channel. But yeah, I rewatched this again, I think for the 3rd time, and my God, like honestly, it just keeps getting better and better and better. This film is one of the few films out there that genuinely terrifies me, like on a soulful level. This film like really gets me to my core on like, and it just reminds me of when I used to get scared of like shitty scary movies when I was a kid, but now I'm an adult and it's a lot harder to kind of like genuinely scare me in that way. And Eraserhead is so fucking good at what it does that it genuinely scares me in that way. And on top of that, this movie is very abstract and experimental, but at the same time, it has such a strong foundational nucleus to the film in terms of themes that it makes it to where a lot of the really bizarre and out there stuff, it's just a lot funner to kind of like either leave open-ended or to give your own interpretation from. And it doesn't make me feel like I have to even understand it in order to appreciate it, because that's the way I kind of feel with some of Lynch's works. But Eraserhead is one of those films where like I really don't feel like you even have to even understand any of it to still just really get engrossed into the film's nightmarish feeling and aesthetic of it all. And it's a super inspiring film. I mean, the stuff that I've read on it, apparently David Lynch like used film that he found like in a fucking dumpster or something. And he like made this film with that. It was such an incredibly low budget, was able to make obviously he accomplishes the atmosphere in a way that is super impressive for the low budget that he had. But even on top of that, the props and the special effects is just like on a whole other level, especially for the budget. The fucking Eraserhead baby, that shit is, especially when it like fucking like builds up to and what happens with the baby and all the special effects work that went into that. It's just like mind blowing. I mean, it's so convincing, so disturbing, so effective. And I just love this film on every level. I love it on just like a horror level. I love it on an artful level. I love this film on just like an inspiring level.
Yeah,
I love this film so much. It is definitely my favorite David Lynch film. I was actually thinking of doing like a scene analysis on this film because I just the more I watch it, the more I want to just like talk about my feelings about it. But yeah, this film is incredible. I love Eraserhead so fucking much. And it's crazy because like it's a film that scares me like a lot, but I feel like I could watch it like any day, honestly. It's just so good.
Hell yeah. One thing I'll say about Eraserhead is that I like what you were saying about how inspiring it is, because I know Lynch made that film on a shoestring budget while he was at the AFI Conservatory. And and I know how difficult it was for him to make that film. So I always found it like oddly, with how abstract it is and how crazy it is, like oddly like one of his most personal films that reflects him, because like he was dealing with like, oh, he has a brand new baby on the way. He's dealing with like all of this, his art's not being fully like validated by everyone, and just all these anxieties and personal things he was dealing with. So I always found, and even the hairstyle you could like say is like almost like a surrogate of David Lynch. So I always found it like it's a really self-reflective film for like an up and coming artist, specifically David Lynch. So yeah, I agree. I think it's one of his best, most perfect films he's made too. Blair Perry, what's your favorite Lynch? I know because Carlos said that's his number one. I'm curious.
It teeters between two, but I think my personal favorite is probably going to be Blue Velvet. Blue Velvet is probably in my top 15 of all time. I really love that movie.
It's an incredible movie. Perry.
I hate to sound so obvious, but I mean, it's his best film, and it's my favorite, Mulholland Drive.
Right there with you. I think it's his magnum opus, but I do like how different a lot of his other films connect deeply, like Eraserhead and Blue Velvet. I also love personally Twin Peaks Fire Walk with Me. I think it's an incredible movie.
Incredible.
Really, just such a deeply disturbing film. But yeah, I have a feeling with our upcoming decades, we'll get Lynch all over those too. So this will not be the last of him. We'll definitely have Dune Part 1 in our 80s episode, of course. That's the one. Over Blue Velvet for Carlos, probably.
Oh yeah.
No, I don't like doing it. Like Blue Velvet is so much better than fucking Dune. I can't stand David Lynch's Dune. That movie pisses me off.
Oh boy. Yeah. Okay, I'll do mine now. This is I won't spend too much time on this one too, because it's been talked about a lot. Not quite as much as The Godfather, but with the recent Sight and Sound poll that came out, this film garnered a ton of controversy, but I absolutely love it. It is John Dielman by Chantal Akerman, and I will not I will not attempt to read the entire title. But I know someone else is going to bring this film up, so I won't take too much time talking about it. But
Sorry.
Everything that's said about this film, I think it is one of the biggest accomplishments in film and how it explores alienation, and particularly that of a female living during this time. And I think the reputation of this movie does it a lot of a disservice, because like it is known as like the movie where you watch a woman clean her house and cook meatloaf for 3.5 hours, I believe is the runtime. But like, if you think about what the power of cinema does and what it truly means, it is the amalgamation of image and sound and many other things that externally on the surface might not mean so much, but interpretive different ways can mean just so many things under the surface. And this is truly the film, John Dielman, that made me really reflect on that notion in cinema. It opened my eyes to so many different ways you can interpret film. And interpret a character in a movie and interpret like just little activities. Because I think there's a lot of deliberate choices that Chantal Akerman made in directing this movie that really showcase a lot of these themes she's talking about, like this feministic sort of approach to how alienated human beings can become. And like what I said with Three Women, honestly, like kind of similar themes, just done in a more, I guess, avant-garde fashion. But I truly think this movie does deserve to be in the top 10 at least of the Sight and Sound poll. I think it's done so much for cinema. It's inspired a lot of female directors to come out and make really personal films. Chantal Akerman is one of my favorite filmmakers. And I know Blair, you also said that as well.
Oh yeah, like I hold her in such high esteem. She's incredible. She's
so important to cinema, and I mean, we just talked about The Godfather. This is almost the antithesis to that, where it's like a lot. The Godfather is one of the most ubiquitously loved films of all time. And like John Dielman is, some people think it's one of the greatest films ever, like me, but other people are like, it tests my patience. It means nothing. But like, if someone were to ask me like the top 10 greatest films ever made, I would always say John Dielman. So, I might have gone too long on that, but I just love that film. And check out News from Home is her other masterpiece, in my opinion.
News from Home.
It's done so much for cinema. Rest in peace, Chantal Ackerman. Yeah, that's my number 3. And
I love that film, by the way. It's fantastic.
It is brilliant.
It's pretty good.
It's all right, actually.
Yeah, it's okay. It's a little boring.
But like that's honestly like people will like you would never be in the middle on that movie. Like it's like kind of boring, but it picks up in the third act. You know, you can't say that.
It gets better when Batman shows up.
When Wonder Woman comes out of nowhere, it gets so good. The director's cut of John Dielman.
It's the best part of it is when the Joker shows up and he says, "I am the John Dielman 1080 Brooks Hills."
This is my cinema. Anyway,
it's John Dielman time.
John Dielman's Joker movie. I'd love to see it. Circle. Okay, back to Perry. We're in the top 2. This is going to be, like I said last week, very spicy.
Alrighty. So 5 through 3 didn't have Criterion releases, but 2 and 1 do. And my number 2 is Barry Lyndon. Yes, I have 2 Stanley Kubrick films in my top 5. I know that goes against Carlos's personal rules, but I don't follow those said rules.
You're a guest. You can do whatever the hell you want. Yeah.
Chaos reigns, baby. But I'm not going to I feel like we're going to talk about Barry Lyndon more in depth, so I won't say anything right now. I'll hold off on my thoughts because I know it's going to come up again. I have a feeling that it's going to come up again in somebody else's list.
All right.
Pause to make
nice.
it.
I wonder who that's going to be.
Yeah. all of our faces were pretty telling there. Okay, then. Yeah. Then Blair, go ahead with your number 2 then, I guess.
Okay, so my number 2 are pretty big films to me. This film, Stalker by Andrei Tarkovsky. Genuinely, I fucking think is a masterpiece. I love this film more than most things in life. It would probably be it would be in my top 10 for sure. It's hard to even where to even start with this film. Like it is like undoubtedly insanely influential, whether you love it or hate it or somewhere in the middle. It's so interesting to me because like this film is like made in an interesting like time and place, and even like the concept is very grabbing, very it has like a really interesting premise from the get-go, but it's done in a way that is so minimal and so atmospheric. And just like I love Andrei Tarkovsky's cinematic style, and especially his approach towards science fiction, because like obviously science fiction has all this like kind of bells and whistles, like very prettied up kind of filmmaking styles, but he does it in such a way that is like very reflective of like characters' kind of philosophy and mentality. Like I can understand people thinking that these characters don't feel like real living breathing characters. Like I feel like that's almost undeniable, but I'm not off put by that like criticism or sentiment. I really like that this is just more a meditation kind of film where these characters end up in like this really interesting, mysterious place. And the film just really feels like not even of the earth. Like it's a really interesting film. And oh my God, the fucking like the backstory for this film, like the whole Andrei Tarkovsky like putting himself and his crew almost like in harm's way in the filming location. Like it feels like haunting, like and eerie, that like this like mysterious place like in the film, like in real life, also has this like kind of horrifying like atmosphere to it. Like I don't know, it's hard to put the words, but I I think this is like truly one of the best like pieces of art to me anyways. Like I hold it in such high esteem. And I've only seen it one time, which is why like I'm having hard going into details, but genuinely throughout that runtime, like it I never felt the like it being like overly long or overstaying like its welcome. I just was completely enthralled into this film's world and atmosphere throughout the whole runtime. Yeah, I fucking love this film. It's so highly praised within the film community, but to me, I think it deserves every ounce of praise and then some. I love this film.
Yes. I'm going to go ahead and say, if we're about to have a debate on Stalker, maybe we should, because I know some people have controversial feelings. We should maybe save it for the list making.
No, I wasn't gonna say anything really.
No, I know, but like I feel like it might be just like a better place to talk about.
Yeah, I wasn't trying to provoke it out of.
Yeah. No, of course not. Yeah, I was just gonna say because I knew Carlos was gonna come out of the woodworks with something.
I do want to say though, it has nothing to do with like my feelings on the film, but I have heard that like it has been rumored and hinted that that perhaps the reason why Tarkovsky and some of his crew that was involved in the film ended up getting cancer was because of the fact that they filmed it in an actual radioactive site.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to hint at too.
Oh yeah,
pretty fucking crazy.
The zone and everything. Yeah,
the zone.
Do with that information what you will, but it's pretty wild.
Fucking dedication to your art, if anything.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, that's.
I mean, not ethical, but it's dedication.
It was worth it for that criterion.
I don't think they knew. I could be wrong. I mean, I wasn't there, obviously, but I don't think they knew it was radioactive. But I guess that's what ended up happening.
Interesting. Wow.
Go
ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say the influence on Annihilation is just undeniable.
Oh yeah, it's like diet soccer, honestly.
It is totally.
I mean, I like Annihilation, but it's really diet soccer.
My review of Annihilation is like Tarkovsky did it better or something like that because it was exactly.
I mean,
I don't mind Annihilation's good. it's very much.
It's like no shade necessarily to Annihilation, but it's just like this film did it like 1 billion times better. So I don't know.
Oh wow.
I don't know. I think they're pretty different movies, honestly.
I mean,
no, for sure. Yeah. No.
Yeah.
Alex Garland. I don't know.
All right.
Not even get into that.
Here, Carlos, go for it.
My turn. All right.
Yes, sir.
So my number 2. Again, it's. I used to own this on Blu-ray, but I lent it out as part of a trilogy. I lent it out to a friend in high school, and he just decided to keep it forever, I guess. So
damn.
I don't have it on me right now. Actually, you know what? I think I actually bought one from my friend Rory from Facebook, but I can't find it right now. Either way, I forgot that I owned it. But I did apparently I did buy like the newest release of it because they actually did like a new like release restoration of it or whatever. But anyway, I don't want to linger on this for too long because this is a film that's iconic and everybody already knows it's fantastic. But it is The Godfather Part 2.
I got it for you.
Hey, that's the exact one. That's the exact one that I lent out to my friend. He never gave it back.
Perfect. We're covered.
But yeah, I mean, as Perry said earlier, like it's one of those things where it's like, what can I say about it? Like this film's been talked about to death already. I'm one of those few people that actually prefer the second one to the first one. I mean, I fucking think the first one is obviously like revolutionary piece of filmmaking. It's fantastic. But the second one, it just resonates with me more personally, just because of the fact that we get to see like Al Pacino's character, Michael Corleone, like a lot more in this film. We get to see we get to see him like at his peak as a character throughout the entire film, and just gives a freaking legendary I mean, historical performance in this film. And I also love the fact how it kind of goes back and forth, between the past time. You get to see, Vito Corleone's backstory and kind of will like led up to, these moments. And I think that was a really awesome, stylistic element of the film as well. Yeah, I mean, this film, just narratively speaking, it's fantastic. Aesthetically speaking, it's fantastic. The directing, editing, score, how everything is incorporated and presented is just next level cinema. And yeah, I love this film to death. The Godfather Part 2 is extraordinary filmmaking, and it's been a very long time since I've seen it, but I cannot wait to give it that second watch, because I think I've only seen it really one time, but it's stuck with me ever since, and I just love it to death. Al Pacino is, I think, still my favorite actor of all time. So
yes,
you get Robert De Niro in it too.
That's true. Yeah. Perry's favorite actor.
Yeah,
he plays the younger version of Vito Corleone.
Vito, God, incredible. Quick shout out to John Cazale, who plays Fredo. I think is so brilliant in The Godfather Part 2, and
he's great.
Every film that he was in before he unfortunately passed away. I think it was after The Deer Hunter. But was in so many great films until he passed. Yeah, and like structurally, The Godfather Part 2 is so innovative with like the whole mirroring the Michael Corleone's downfall with Vito Corleone's sort of uprising as an immigrant is just so, God, it's just next level. Like the movie has no right to be as good as it is, and some people think it's better than Godfather 1. I don't really have a take because I haven't seen Godfather 2 in so long, like you said, but both perfect films, like you said.
Absolutely.
Yeah, God. I gotta do a Godfather marathon. Just leave out the third one.
Yeah. Spoiler
Exactly.
Spoiler alert for my 90s list. The Godfather Part 3 is not on.
It's not. But
Shocker on Sock Street.
It got taken out by Before Sunrise, right?
And Boyhood.
That's not even a 90s movie.
And Boyhood.
Hey, they started shooting it around the 90s.
It's true.
Not even early 2000s. Oh boy. Sorry, Perry. I had to make one Linklater joke. I'm so sorry.
It's okay.
Oh God. All right. Great pick. My number 2 has also been talked about before, so I will not talk about it too much. But Blair brought up a Woman Under the Influence, which is John Cassavetes' masterpiece, and I think, in my humble opinion, is the greatest performance ever put to screen by Jenna Rollins. Peter Falk is also brilliantly underrated in this movie, and just something about Cassavetes I always loved. I mean, Perry kind of touched on that whole mumblecore influence and how the improvisational style was kind of birthed, and Cassavetes really is the godfather of independent cinema for American cinema. But just the fact, like, if you watch a lot of his films, they have very similar actors. You have Jenna Rollins and Peter Falk and all of them throughout all their movies. It is that like incubated sort of like group of people that just are making art together, and you feel how passionate and how like they're putting a lot on the line to make these films. And some of the films are uneven, they're not all perfect, but I truly believe Woman Under the Influence is not only one of the best films of the 70s, but one of the most influential on independent film. Like a lot of the movies, like everyone with A24 and all these character studies that we have nowadays, I think a lot of people are heavily influenced by what Cassavetes did with that movie, and how fearless it was, and how it was kind of commenting on that housewife sort of mentality that was going on in the 70s, how a lot of women were kind of put in a bubble during that time, unfortunately, and how there's that whole, I don't know if you guys have seen Todd Haynes' film Safe in the 90s, but
I love Safe.
I think it's a brilliant film, but like I always found Woman Under the Influence has a similar theme. It's like this kind of notion, like a self-diagnosis about like mental illness, like it's how that's kind of unrepresented. Like it's a really deep issue, not to get too serious, but like that movie, I think that movie explored similar themes to Safe. And I think it's really important. And I think Gina Rowland's performance is so multi-layered on every level. Just so much going on. It's like she's hilarious at certain points, and she's really neurotic. But you just love her. You just love her, and you feel that connection she has with her kids. And God, yeah, I love Cassavetes, one of the best to ever do it in the 70s. Yeah, it's just brilliant.
I agree with everything you said, for sure.
I'm
Me
sure you
too.
did. Yeah. I'm glad we both had that on there, honestly, because I guess it's.
Yeah, I didn't think we would, but that's fucking awesome.
Yeah. Okay. Cassavetes is great. And yeah, God, we're at our number ones now. I'm really excited to see what we all have here, even though we know beforehand. But Harry, kick us off with the final round.
Well, it would not be a Perry top 5 if I did not have a film from my favorite filmmaker of all time / the greatest filmmaker of all time. And yes, I will die on that hill that he is the greatest filmmaker of all time. My number one is it's in the box set, that's for sure.
It's in there somewhere. Yeah.
Are you telling me Perry owns the box set?
God, it's so fucking
News to
big.
me.
So my number one is Autumn Sonata by Ingmar Bergman. And honestly, like, to me, this is the film that could rival Persona as his best film. And that's saying a lot because he has several masterpieces in his oeuvre of I mean, the amazing thing about Autumn Sonata is you're literally seeing like a heavyweight fight of acting, because you have the legendary Ingrid Bergman, who many of you know from Casablanca, not Carlos because he hasn't seen it.
Oh,
Also have Liv Ullmann, who Bergman worked with a lot and who's one of the greatest actresses of all time. So you have these two actresses that are two of the best at what they do coming together in a Bergman film, who's like, you got to think, like, he has, like, Bergman in the 70s was on a crazy streak because he also had Scenes from a Marriage and Cries and Whispers in this decade. Like, the dude was just untouchable. And it's interesting because Ingmar Bergman was a stage director before he like turned to film, and you kind of see his experience as a stage director play a hand in Autumn Sonata, and it does kind of feel like you're seeing like a play adapted into a film, the way it's structured and with the fourth wall break. And this movie is just absolute perfection. Not just from like an acting and directing perspective, but just from a screenplay perspective, just to see like how Liv Ullmann's character just feels so unfulfilled by the mother that she has. It's incredibly hard to watch. Like it really is a soul crushing film. And I mean, like, I love soul crushing cinema, and Bergman is he's just a master at giving you that sensation of what it's like to slowly die inside. And I know that sounds really melodramatic, but if you've ever seen his films, you know what I'm talking about. It's just it's just such a beautiful film. Like, yes, it is very depressing, and yes, it does kind of suck the life out of you, but it is beautiful in a way that you get to see the mother and the daughter talk about their relationship and reflect on you know, their lives and who they are as people and how it affected one another and how it affected the way they loved one another or not so much loved one another. Not to mention you have the sister, who's physically disabled, um, just to, and the way she is incorporated in the film is just so incredibly hard to watch. It really, like, Bergman really puts you through it. And it's such an incredibly difficult film to watch because of that. It's a difficult film to talk about because of how what Bergman does to his audience and how he puts you through. He really puts you through the ringer. It's really hard for me to talk about personally, even though it's one of my favorite films of all time, because of how like just emotional I get just thinking about it and how perfect it is at what it exactly sets out to do and how it perfectly executes that. And I mean, it to me, like, cinema doesn't get much better than Ingmar Bergman's Autumn Sonata, and that's why it's my number one.
Amazing.
I concur, Perry. I think it's a fucking masterpiece. That was one of the most instant 10 out of 10s I've ever given, like without a fucking second thought. It's incredible.
Shout out to Charlotte, who's a really good friend of ours. I know she's going to be really happy that Autumn Sonata is my number one, because Autumn Sonata is her favorite Bergman film. And it would be mine if it wasn't for Persona.
I was going to say it's Persona number one, and this is like a close second.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Yeah.
It's so hard for me to choose between Autumn Sonata, Persona, and Fanny and Alexander.
Yeah, God.
Oh, yeah.
I love all three of those dearly. But yeah, I'm 100% on your page with Autumn Sonata, dude. That movie is so fucking good.
As the biggest Bergman fan, Perry, were you upset that Persona wasn't higher on our list of the 60s?
No, I thought it was perfect. Put it right behind 2001: A Space Odyssey.
Is it number two? Oh yeah, that makes sense. I feel like we just didn't shout out enough Bergman movies, but to be honest, I haven't seen enough to really like from the 60s, but we'll have more, I think, in the 80s and stuff like that. So
yeah, well, it's like Persona is his best in the 60s and just his best period. But like his other 60 stuff is amazing too, like Hour of the Wolf, which is crazy because he's not known for being a horror filmmaker, but that is a horror film, and it's one of the best horror films ever made.
Yeah, God. Virgin Spring is really great. That's from
masterpiece.
Yeah, I would never fight you on the greatest filmmaker thing either, because like it's undisputed at sometimes. If you just go through his filmography, it's pretty staggering. So
yeah, everyone talks about how Kubrick could literally just jump to genre and make a masterpiece. Well, Bergman did the exact same thing. He could literally go from making a war film like Shame to making a horror film like Hour of the Wolf, and he would knock it out of the park.
Oh, I love Hour of the Wolf, dude. That's a great, great movie that people don't talk enough about.
Yeah.
Gotta watch that one. Damn. All right. Blair, you want to do your number one now?
Yep. My number one. Jake already mentioned it, but there's no way in hell I can leave it out of the list. So it's Jeanne Dielman by Chantal Akerman. Even like this fucking Criterion cover, like when I first saw that shot, it like instantly hooked me. I was like, what the fuck? I want to watch this movie just based on that one shot alone. It conveys such like a message and a fucking feeling that really grabbed me. This was before I even learned about like the premise, and obviously like with the premise, I was like, interesting. I wonder how this is gonna work out. And yeah, I think this is like the fucking godfather of all like slow burns. Like it's definitely one of the best. It's to me, I am completely engaged with it start to finish because of how subtle the whole film message and character arc is. If anybody knows me and my like film taste, my favorite kind of films are like the films that are just completely unique and does whatever the fuck it wants. Like I know some people feel differently, but I love when filmmakers just say like, fuck the audience. I'm just going to do what I want to do. But that's not even necessarily what Chantal Ackerman is doing, because she wants the character to feel the kind of monotony and hopelessness and just lack of purpose that like Jeanne Dielman herself is going through. I think, its runtime is completely justified. Like, I wouldn't have it 1 minute shorter. Like, I'm fine with every little piece of like, I don't even know, like, chores and cooking she does, because it kind of just adds to that feeling that I talked about. And just the way it like slowly transitions to her breaking up her routine and like having nothing else to do, and like slowly coming to grips that her life is just so unfulfilling, and how that can like psychologically not just fuck with Jeanne Dielman, but like fuck up any human being, really, if you just have like literally nothing that makes you like fulfilled and happy. Like, it's not only like an essential feminist piece, but it's also just like a great piece on like capitalism and the psychological human spirit in general. Like, Jeanne Dielman is definitely a one of a kind film, and I admire Chantal Ackerman so much for making this film. Like, I'm really happy it exists, and it it it's probably like my second favorite film of all time. It might be my favorite, but for now, I'll leave it like at my number two. It's obviously very up there. I love it.
Me too.
Me too.
Full disclosure, I was actually going to include it in my top 5, but I knew Blair and Jake were going to have it on their top 5, so I'm like, well, let me just highlight another film.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, that was me with Autumn Sonata. Like, I was like, oh, fuck. I really want to include Autumn Sonata, but I know Perry's going to take it, so I'm going to let him do that.
And I knew you were gonna say John Dielman, obviously, but it was the same thing where I was like, I can't not have it on my list though, so I just couldn't.
Yeah.
And the same with Woman Under the Influence. It was like I couldn't substitute. And like I wanted to put Taxi Driver too, but I was like, oh, they have it too. So it's all the juggling.
Yeah, trust me, it took a lot out of me to exclude fucking Clockwork Orange out of my list. But since Perry gave me one, I was like, okay, I feel better about it since there's some fair exchange going on.
I think that's a good teaser for your number one too, Carlos.
Are we ready?
I think we're ready. Yeah.
All right. So my number one film, for people that know me somewhat well, I think y'all know what it is already. But my number one film of the 1970s is, I'm just going to stand up and show you.
I'll try to match it.
Hey,
dual images.
There it is. Barry Lyndon. This is a film that so before I watched it, I had heard so much about for such a long time, but I just kind of slept on it for, I think, the reasons that most people sleep on it, because it's just like, you kind of look at it and you're just kind of like, all right, this is a period piece drama kind of thing, I guess. And you're just kind of thinking, yeah, Stanley Kubrick, but how good this can, like, how great is this really compared to like stuff like 2001 and Clockwork and The Shining and Eyes Wide Shut? You just don't really think on the surface that this could like compare to anything like that. But once you watch it, you kind of deeply regret how long you've put it off. And this film is just fucking, it's kind of mind blowing how masterful and incredible this film is and timeless it is. Shout out to Blair for gifting me the Criterion on I think it was my birthday or Christmas. I don't remember.
It was Christmas.
Christmas.
Oh, nice.
And I finally gave me like the push to finally watch it. And I deeply, deeply fell in love with it. This film on every single phase of filmmaking is absolute perfection. And it's just kind of a shame that it's kind of overshadowed by everything else that Kubrick has done, because this, to me, I mean, I don't want to say it's his best film objectively, but it is up there, and it is my personal favorite Kubrick film of all time. It used to be A Clockwork Orange, but now it's Barry Lyndon. This film, again, like it's one of those films where it's like, first of all, before I move on, I do want to say thank you, Perry, for kind of giving me the time to speak on it, because you kind of didn't speak on it much just so I could. So thank you for that sacrifice. But yeah, this is one of those films where, again, it's one of those cliche things where people say, "Oh, every frame's a painting," but this really is like every frame is a painting kind of film. And it's kind of crazy. Like I remember, like just as a test, I like pulled up a bunch of frames from Barry Lyndon, and I was like showing it to my dad, and I made him guess whether or not it was like from a movie or a painting, and
Oh, that's fun.
and he kept guessing painting, painting, painting. And I was like, nope, it's from a film. Nope, it's from a film. And he was just like baffled. He's like, you're bullshitting. I'm like, no, I'm not. This is from a film. And he was like, that's crazy. And I'm like, I know. I don't know. Just everything about this film comes together. Obviously, as I'm trying to mention now, the visuals, the cinematography, the production design, the costuming, all that shit is at a whole other level. I mean, Stanley Kubrick, he was able to like basically rent out like this brand new, like newly released, like fucking special NASA lens, just to shoot certain scenes of this film, just because like he was really trying to get that natural, like candle lighting, scenery. And at the time you couldn't really get stuff like that with purely natural lighting. And if it wasn't for like this special NASA camera, it just couldn't happen. But a lot of people attribute this film to having beautiful natural lighting, which is true. You should definitely give it credit for that. But it's like half a myth, because as I was watching the special features to Barry Lyndon, apparently a lot of the scenes that people think are just purely natural lighting, it's actually combined with like artificial lighting and natural lighting. Because at the time, even with a NASA camera, it's like still really hard to achieve something like that. But the fact that he was still able to achieve that natural lighting aesthetic is still like absolutely mind blowing. And like the character writing, the story is just so compelling. And again, like for a period piece, like you look at it on the surface, you're like, okay, a period piece, how unique and interesting can it really be? How much does this film really set itself apart from other period pieces? And it really does in every single way possible. I mean, this is a film that has plenty of social themes woven throughout its narrative, but the character of Barry Lyndon himself is such an entertaining and interesting and complex character. This is somebody that basically was, able to, move up in the ranks of society through basically a combination of ass kissing and cucking. So it's just really interesting. Yeah. It's just really interesting that like it's able to convey how, just the richer you get doesn't necessarily mean like that you've worked harder than somebody else. So it's kind of an interesting take on capitalism as well. And God, I could go on and on about this film. I actually have a video on this film called the three reasons why you should watch Barry Lyndon right now.
Great video. Sign off.
Thank you so much. I implore everybody to watch that video. It's a film that, again, like I really think more people should see. I'm glad like nowadays it's kind of getting more traction. But it's just brilliant on every freaking level. Like visually, it's stunning and timeless and like revolutionary. Character and story wise, it's compelling as hell and entertaining. There's a third act duel scene in this film that is, oh my God, dude, one of my favorite third act scenes in film history. It's the most, like one of the most intense things I've ever fucking seen. But yeah, I love this film to death. It's so fucking good. And that's why it's my number one of the 1970s.
Absolutely. Perry, did you want to add anything since you yielded your time a second ago to Carlos?
Yes. It's crazy because like Barry Lyndon is such an immaculate film, and it would be his best film if 2001: A Space Odyssey wasn't a thing. But like Carlos says, it touches on so many social themes that deal with it obviously deals with like classism and the idea of legacy, and it deals with coming to terms with your own mortality. It deals with death. It deals with just a litany of themes. It's like the whole human spectrum captured in a 3-hour film. To me, it's like the ultimate rags to riches story. And I mean, again, going back to how I was talking about A Clockwork Orange and Alexander the Large, how that's one of the greatest character arcs of all time. It's like you could say the same for Barry Lyndon and Barry Lyndon. But that's all I'm going to add to it.
Absolutely. The only thing I'll add is I saw this film for the first time many years ago, but it was projected in 70 millimeter at my local theater. And God, it was like I couldn't think of a better way to see that film for the first time. And I've obviously rewatched it multiple times on Criterion. But yeah, like you said, every frame is a Renaissance painting. It was funnier than I thought it would be. Like its commentary on privilege and classism is so brilliant. Some Days is my favorite Kubrick movie. I go back and forth with that and Eyes Wide Shut quite a bit, but yes,
I hate you so much for watching this movie in 70 millimeter in the theater.
I didn't know how good I had it, honestly, at the time. Like when I saw the first frame of the movie, I'm like, fuck.
Yeah, dude. The first frame. Yeah. Oh my God. The first frame of the movie is absolutely gorgeous.
And I was like you, where I was like, the reputation of it or my perception of it was like, this is a boring costume drama.
Yeah.
Kind of period film. And like, obviously I loved Kubrick, but I didn't realize, I'm like, this is maybe like after it ended, I'm like, I turned to my friend, I'm like, that might be his masterpiece. And I did not expect it. So
yeah, I just feel like this film had such a rough time breaking through that, assumptive barrier where people were kind of just kind of like, okay, yeah, but it's a period piece at the end of the day. And people just whatever, they were just kind of, whatever about it. But little did they know this was like literally like so much more than that, and arguably like his best film. So
I totally agree with you. Yeah, it's a good way to put it. Like the assumption is like so wrong about that movie.
Yeah.
Still, even
And also, sorry.
No, go ahead. I was gonna say any final words on Lyndon.
And also, it uses voiceover narration in an actual purposeful way, and it actually adds to the film as opposed to detract. It's not a lazy way of like providing exposition to the audience. It actually adds to the humor of the film, and it kind of adds to the sense of the tragedy of the film, of hearing just that voiceover narration just coldly say like, what's happening to Barry, and just to see, like, especially when you hear him speak about his downfall.
Yes.
Yep. Also, I want to quickly say, quick shout out to Amore in the Discord for buying me this amazing fucking shirt. He bought me this shirt for Secret Santa last Christmas, and I was a fucking happy camper. I'll say that. But yeah, I'm glad we all love Barry Lyndon.
I could never say a bad thing about it. Even, so good. Okay,
Your turn.
Yeah, let's close this out. Not only I think this is the best film of the 70s on a personal level, but this is my personal favorite film ever, and I love it to death. And I will say why, but it's All That Jazz by Bob Fosse.
Shit.
Which we've alluded to a little bit when Perry brought up the editing of this film, I think. I could be wrong. But this movie, I think, is one of the best explorations of an artist ever. And ultimately, what is it all for? Like all these directors that we idolize so much. I mean, you're talking about Kubrick, you're talking about Bergman, and you wouldn't put Bob Fosse on that level. But I think that this film uncovers truths about these people that we idolize so much by being so self-reflective about the artistic experience of being such a high-level, well-respected filmmaker. And if you guys don't know, this film is about Bob Fosse and how he had a heart attack from overworking himself and delving into like hedonistic behavior, like sex, drugs, alcohol, like everything possible. And I think it's a super revealing film on that front, but I think there's so much beneath that. I always describe this film as like the 1970s, like It's a Wonderful Life in some ways, because it's a man in the darkest way possible, a man reflecting on his morality and his life and what it was all for. But I've talked about how much I love musicals on this podcast, and this movie, in my humble opinion, has the best song and dance number probably ever, with Ben Vereen at the very end. That's so revealing to the themes of this film, but just so well choreographed and just so visually stunning. And this film made me want to like be an editor. Just the way this film is cut together is so pristine and so rhythmic. Like it matches the rhythms of like how Bob Fosse would direct like a musical on stage. Just the way the cuts are interwoven and how it gets more kind of erratic as his psyche sort of kind of delves into just pure lunacy as he just loses his mind over the course of this film. But yeah, like I think the reason it's my favorite film is like it is revealing. It's so revealing about the artistic process. I think it's technically one of the most like ambitious films of all time, not like super flashy cinematography, but in the sense of like the editing and the costume design and everything like that. But just a director of his level, and like he was mainly known for stage work, just to make a movie so honest and revealing about the pitfalls of the artistic process. You know, other films like 8.5 and stuff have definitely delved into similar thematic tropes about like why do we idolize these filmmakers so much? Are they good people in the end? And I think this film is just so, I think so many directors, like you mentioned Kubrick said that he thinks this is one of the greatest films ever made. I think because he relates to it so heavily, because it's like these people we put on a pedestal, like this is like pulling the curtain literally, showing us what it's like and like how they are people with feelings that we don't take into account. Like there's the whole critic part of this film where he's talking about the critics and like people that are replacing him when he's in the hospital. And like this veneer that all these masters of like the arts have kind of being deconstructed in this movie. I think it's never been done better than All That Jazz. And it is, in my humble opinion, the greatest film of the 70s. And I think caps off the 70s because this film was released in 1979. And that's like when the auteur movement started to fizzle out, because bombs started happening, like One from the Heart by Coppola. And there's the other film, Heaven's Gate, which was a huge bomb. And like the auteur movement of like just giant films by these huge auteurs kind of ended. And I always say like the two final ones that capped off the 70s perfectly are All That Jazz and Apocalypse Now. And in some ways, All That Jazz, in my opinion, encompasses it more because like this film is personal, it's ambitious, and truly, I think nothing has ever been made that replicates this film since then, or even before that. So that's why it's my number one. And you could tell I've watched it many, many times, even though it's really depressing and upsetting on the surface. But yeah, I just love it.
I mean, I've never seen All That Jizz, but I'm really excited to watch it.
Waiting for that joke to happen.
I gave it a 10. I fucking adore that movie too.
Yeah, same here.
It's so good.
I'm the odd man out.
I remember it being very horny too. Very horny.
It's very horny.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I was surprised too. I was like, what the fuck? I fuck with it though.
I glossed over how much Fosse, how he delves into how many women he had sex with during that period, but
I had to be the one to bring it up. Horny cinema is my
horny cinema. Yeah,
love it.
I love how that's going to be on the top 10 of the 70s.
Yeah, if it's horny cinema, it's Blaire Core.
That's why I gotta watch like movies. I'm missing a few. Like I gotta watch Bound and Secretary. And
Bound is rules. Oh my god. Yeah.
Secretary
is the Cook the Thief, his wife and her lover, is that horny cinema?
Yes, and I will be talking about that on our best of 80s list. Little teaser.
Nice.
I adore that film. Okay. I'd say let's
Top
do
10.
the list now. Yeah, let's
Yeah,
do this
top
top 10. I'm gonna go a little fast because I kind of need to leave within the hour. So
Yeah.
Yeah, no problem.
All right. So first, what we're gonna do is I'm gonna star all the movies that we say are gonna be in the top 10, and then we'll make the list.
All right. I mean, personally, I think we should just do Barry Lyndon for every single slot.
That's fair. That's fair. Okay, Barry Lyndon for sure is in there, obviously. That
Yes.
number 2 and a number 1. John Dielman is a number 1, All That Jazz, and Autumn Sonata. So what I'm gonna do, I'll go through Perry's and I'll go through his list, and if anything rings out like for sure has to be on the list, then I'll give it a star. And we got to have 10 stars. I know y'all can't see what I'm doing here, but I'll read the list when it's done, and I'll keep us updated. It gets tough, but we'll do it.
10 stars, gotcha.
10. We got to need 10 stars. Alrighty. Autumn Sonata made the list. Barry Lyndon made the list, which is Perry's number 2. The Godfather definitely gets a star.
Yeah.
I got him. I know Blair, you haven't seen it, but I feel like it's kind of hard to argue.
It's The Godfather.
Perry's list might just fucking dominate the list overall because Clockwork Orange, you get.
Yes.
I mean, I would advocate for that as well.
Clockwork Orange. Yes,
So,
please.
I'll give that a star. Taxi Driver, I think definitely needs to get a star because we all.
I mean, personally.
Oh yeah. Make your argument. Yeah, if you don't want it.
I don't know. It's not. I have to see what it's up against first.
Should we like go back to it?
Yeah, you could put like a little thing there.
I'll put an asterisk next to it. All right.
Okay.
4 out
My
of
list
5.
now. Sorry, what?
I'll just say 4 out of 5. Not that.
Not bad. No, your list is like, yeah, it's pretty hard to beat. So All That Jazz is gonna make mine. A Woman Under the Influence. It's it's on 2 lists. I feel like it kind of has to make it.
I love that movie. Yeah.
Yeah. We kind of have to. John Dielman as well. Well, it already made it, actually. Sorry. The last 2, I don't think you guys would agree, but I'll just say Harold and Maude, 3 women.
Probably not.
Yeah or nay? Yeah, we
Not.
have too many. Even though I love those movies, I could see why. It's fine. Carlos's list. Barry Lyndon makes the list. Godfather Part 2.
Probably not because we already have The Godfather. So let's like not put it.
So you'll yield to the Godfather Part 1 then? All right. Fair enough.
I'll yield to. I mean, personally, I think the second one's better, but
fair enough.
I understand.
It's a tough one. Eraserhead. I'm sorry, man. I don't think so. I love it too, but like we have a lot.
You love it. Does Blair love it? Does Perry love it? We all love it. Well, we all rate it.
Yeah, but I don't
give an 8 out of 10.
Ooh.
But there's another giant horror film that it's up against.
That's what I'm kind of
for.
I'll put an asterisk, like Taxi Driver asterisk. So we won't dismiss it. No, I was just saying it's not for sure. Holy Mountain, I haven't seen. I'll let you guys decide that one.
I think the Holy Mountain deserves it.
Yes,
I
it has.
kind of think it does too. Yeah,
it's too unique of a movie to not fucking put it in there.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Alrighty. The Ascent, I haven't seen. It's another one.
I mean, I think it deserves it, but
I didn't say that about mine. You know, I think these all deserve it, but we got to be selective.
That's true, but I would feel wrong if the Ascent got in there, but the Taxi Driver didn't get in there.
Ooh, okay.
So I like the Ascent more than a Taxi Driver, but if I'm really trying to be as fair as possible, I think Taxi Driver at the end of the day does deserve to be in the 70 slot. I mean, come on.
So should I just
Yeah, just put the Taxi Driver in.
Okay. Don't forget we're gonna have honorable mentions in a second. So these aren't for sure yet, but I'm still starring them. Okay. All right, Blair, your list. John Dielman obviously makes it. I'm gonna gloss over one for now because I feel like we might have a fight about that. Woman Under the Influence makes it on the list automatically. House, I would personally advocate for it, but I understand if you guys are questionable.
I think there's better films in the 70s that are more deserving. I even have some honorable mentions that I would put over House.
We'll get to
Same
those
here.
in a second. So
And
I
honestly,
agree.
it's gonna be a hot take, but we might need to reevaluate Women Under the Influence.
Oh,
It's my number 2 and his number 4, though. I don't know.
Sorry, I'm with Carlos on this one.
I mean, I'm sorry, but like, I love the film and everything, but I just think there might be some other films that are maybe more deserving than that.
Well, if you're gonna say that, then I'll say the same about the Holy Mountain.
No.
You never even
gotta
seen
keep
it,
the Holy
though.
Mountain. Yeah, you got to keep the Holy Mountain.
Yeah, but it's on 2 lists of Women Under the Influence.
But
Yeah,
Blair also concurs that the Holy Mountain's amazing.
What would you put, Blair? Which would you put on there?
Blair only left out the Holy Mountain because he knew that like I was going to include it, though.
All right. Never mind.
making me choose
seen it.
between Holy Mountain and A Woman Under the that's tough.
Fine. Well, I'll put an asterisk next to that, even though it's my number 2. But
I'm just throwing it out there. That's all. I'm not saying we got to do it. I'm just throwing it out there. That's all.
no, that's fair. That's fair. Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
We all love it.
I love it so much.
I like Eraserhead more, though.
I like Texas Chainsaw Massacre a little more.
Perry, what would you put your stock in?
I'm sorry, Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
I'm sorry, Carlos.
Fuck.
I'm sorry.
That's all right. I love Texas Chainsaw, but god damn it, like
No,
Eraserhead is my favorite
really
Lynch.
hard. Oh my god, that's really hard.
Yeah, it's tough.
I love Eraserhead too. I have nothing really bad to say about it.
Yeah, no, I love Eraserhead.
Not at all. Okay, last on Blair's list. This is where it gets interesting. Stalker. I would heavily advocate for Stalker over Taxi Driver personally.
Yeah,
No.
me too.
Hell no.
Me too.
You said
God damn.
Taxi Driver is not like your favorite Scorsese. It's not even top 5.
Yeah, but Taxi Driver is fucking light years better than Stalker, in my
Oh.
opinion.
You're making
Yeah,
Blair cry.
towards
What
Taxi.
about
as
you,
much
Perry?
as much as I love Stalker, I'm leaning towards Taxi Driver. I'm sorry.
Dude, Taxi Driver is a shitloads more influential and impactful to the history of cinema than Stalker. I mean,
It might
for-
be,
Does
but
it matter?
we're saying
I mean,
best.
to me it matters. To me it matters because
Is Barry Lyndon really influential? I don't think
Oh,
it is.
okay.
But it's like one of a kind
if,
film.
like if we're gonna go
But-
that way,
but it's my
Holy
number
Mountain-
one.
Holy Mountain is amazing.
No, I'm
but
saying as an
like-
example. Sorry, go ahead, Blair.
True. You're right, Blair. You're right.
It's
right
like
about
holy.
that.
I mean, your fucking average Joe Schmo filmmaker, like critic, is not gonna think about Holy Mountain either.
Okay, here's my
That's
thing.
true. That's true.
If Taxi Driver doesn't make it, like, which obviously is going to hurt me,
It's
but
only
I
on one
already-
list. It's only on one list. That's my problem.
Yeah, like
It's
literally,
democratic.
I already have 4 on the top 10. Do I really need a 5th one here?
But to me, it's fucked up because I'm not even the biggest fan of Taxi Driver, but I just feel like it's almost like a Vertigo situation to where it's like I was advocating for Vertigo to be on the list, even though I wasn't the biggest, like, I mean, I do like Vertigo, but I wasn't in love with it. I'm not even that in love with Taxi Driver, but it just feels fucking blasphemous to not put Taxi Driver on the top 10 of the 70s.
I agree, but you also got to think I already have 4 on the list. And
Yeah, but
it's
I'm not
like,
even thinking about like who had what on their list. I'm just like, I'm trying to separate myself from that
Let's
and just
come-
talk about the movies.
I love Taxi Driver. It's so good, but let's come back to it. I'm gonna put an asterisk next to Stalker. I think
Taxi Driver definitely deserves to be on it because Taxi Driver was my number 3 until I was like, I want to talk about House
All
instead.
right, I think it's gonna make the list. I mean, regardless, but I want to throw out a few honorable mentions. Let's each pick 3. Because I have 10. I can't read them all, but okay, I'll just read a few and tell me if any of these stick out. Apocalypse Now,
Yes.
one of the greatest films ever made.
But here's the thing: the third act, Coppola wrote himself into a corner, and we talked about this prior to the podcast.
It's
And
not a perfect movie, but it's still my favorite Francis Ford Coppola film.
it's my personal favorite Francis Ford Coppola, so it like kills me that it's not going to make the list. But I'm trying to be objective here.
That's fair. But Dog Day Afternoon.
No.
That movie's so fucking good though.
It is, but
Quick no, Blair. I love that movie.
Blair, no.
Hell no.
I mean, I like the movie, but no, it's not even close to like Apocalypse Now or anything.
I think it might be personally.
I respect that.
I was gonna say Pink Flamingos is a joke, but like
Pink Flamingos is fucking fantastic.
I would put it in. I would put it in, but I know other people wouldn't, so I wasn't gonna say it.
That'd be so cool to put that in the list, though. Put an asterisk on that.
I'll write it down.
it would be cool, but like best of the best, like as much as I love it, I don't think we can put it in there.
Okay, that's fair. One more I'll say is Don't Look Now by Nick Rogue.
No.
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 I love it, but no.
Yeah, that was my afterthought. I love it too. Yeah,
Hold
that's
up.
it. That's all I have.
Let me look their minds. Hold on.
I have Mikey and Nikki, but I already have I have like Cassavetes stuff already. So, and I love Mikey and Nikki.
Yeah, excellent film. I actually have an honorable mention that if we don't put this in our 70s list, like we might get crucified for this one.
What?
Okay, what is it?
One flew over the cuckoo's nest.
Oh shit! One
I
flew
don't-
over the cuck.
I don't know. I haven't seen it. I haven't
What?
seen it. I haven't seen
I
it.
haven't
yet.
seen it either.
I'm
God.
sorry.
Oh my god! Really?
Yeah, I've never seen it.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Both of y'all haven't seen it.
No,
what the
I haven't.
fuck is going on here?
And it's in Oregon. It's an Oregon movie. I haven't not seen it.
And you call yourself a Kino Lord? I'm not buying
Oh,
it.
I never made that claim.
Where's
And
my
you-
Diet Dr. Kelp? No
Thank you,
Diet
Barry.
Dr. Kelp?
Thank you.
Well,
Barry.
I ain't buying.
Yeah. I knew we could count on you for the SpongeBob reference. It's so good. Hold on, I'm looking through my honorable mentions. One thing I know that like some people will probably kill us for is not including Alien.
I was
Yeah,
gonna mention.
that's gonna
mention that.
I love Alien. But this is our taste, you know.
Yeah,
Like
Yeah,
I love other movies that are widely popular.
we can only
I-
be objective so much.
I
you
love
know?
Jaws a lot too. I wouldn't personally put Jaws.
No. Jaws is great, but it's not
Yeah,
like
it's brilliant. It's amazing. It's like
yeah.
if we're talking influential, like Star Wars and Jaws and shit like that, you know. But like I don't
Star
think
Wars is not coming anywhere near this list.
the first Star Wars, A New Hope, is amazing. But I'm not talking about the other movies.
You know
Me
what's a
pers-
film? Oh, go ahead.
I was just saying, me personally, I would just go watch The Hidden Fortress by Akira Kurosawa.
I mean, sure. But yeah. Anyway, what other honorable mentions you have?
I was gonna say Kanoa, A Shameful Memory.
I have to see it. Fuck.
It is a masterpiece, but I don't think it's top 10 material.
I mean, I just thought
Yeah,
I'd
that's,
say
that's
it.
how I feel.
No, yeah, that's a good pick. I need to watch it though.
I gotta- Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was also gonna. These probably won't make
Right.
the list. Wait, what?
Hmm?
What'd you say?
Did me?
Oh,
I didn't say anything.
I was just gonna say these probably won't make the list, but I would also like to throw out an honorable mention to Cries and Whispers and Scenes from a Marriage by Ingmar Bergman.
Mm-hmm.
Those are great movies.
I want to shout out Fantastic Planet.
Oh, yeah, we have
Um,
no animated movies. That's a good movie too.
There's a movie I want to mention that it's not going to make the list, not even close, but Solo. I love Solo. I don't give a fuck.
I mean,
I think it's
listen,
great.
I would put it on there too, but
5 out of 10.
oh,
I'm not getting into it. I love Solo. That's all.
yeah, no, I know there's no chance in hell that you guys will
Yeah,
agree. But
there's no way I'm gonna fight for it. No.
There's no way.
What about
Oh.
The Mirror?
Oh, I love The Mirror. Yep.
I love Mirror as well. I mean, I'm trying to avoid double directors because I would honestly put Solaris as well. I think that movie's incredible, but
I like Solaris better than Mirror.
I love.
Wait, is Stalker on the list?
No, it's not. I'm saying, but that's a contention,
Oh, okay.
and I would definitely put Stalker over
I
that.
put Stalker over Mirror. Yeah.
Yeah. Y'all, have you guys seen Ali Fears the Soul by Fassbinder?
I almost watched that
really want
today.
to.
I was so close to watching that today.
It's an incredible movie. I would honestly.
I literally pulled it up on Criterion Channel and everything, but I just didn't.
Fox and His Friends. I also love. I'm just looking at other.
By the way, as a
movies.
shout out to Kaylin, Celine and Julie go boating.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah,
They go bowling.
They go bowling.
They go bowling with the dude.
Yeah, I enjoyed the film quite a bit. I'm not nearly as in love with it as she is, but I just thought I'd shout it out.
I got a good one.
What?
The Conversation.
Oh yeah, that's great. But no, because that's Coppola. We might as well put like Apocalypse Now or something else over that.
Well, we still gotta throw it
No,
out.
you definitely got to
Yeah.
acknowledge them. I love the original Suspiria a lot. I don't know
Yeah,
if you guys
Suspiria's
love it
great.
either.
Yeah.
Nah, not for me.
Yeah, Perry's not Perry Core.
Has anybody?
the
Has anybody?
remake-
Here?
Is vastly superior.
I could see that. I have a love for the campiness of the original too. I love
Is it-
Terrence Malick's Badlands. I think is amazing.
Nice.
Not top 10 material, but I'm just naming movies. French Connection, I think, is a masterpiece.
I'm kind of bitter towards the French Connection because it won Best Picture over A Clockwork Orange.
That's
which
fair. I was just about to say,
Yeah.
yeah. But
What
that's
about
for-
Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory?
Ooh, whimsical.
I like that movie a lot.
It's brilliant. Yeah, I agree.
I'd mention F for Fake by Orson Welles.
Orson Welles.
I love that film.
Yeah. I was almost going to say Female Trouble by John Waters. Again, another John Waters. But,
Yeah, I mean,
Last Picture Show is also amazing.
oh, yeah.
that's good too. Yes.
It's a great movie.
Carlos hasn't reviewed it yet.
God damn it. Yes, I have. It's on my channel. I have the evidence. Go check it out.
In that same vein, Five Easy Pieces, I think, is a great film.
Yes.
Needs to be
I got
mentioned.
I got to see that on the big screen with Jeremy.
Oh, dude, what
So that's
about
awesome?
the Devils though?
Yeah.
Like Ken Russell.
Yeah,
I would put that on. I think that's a 10 out of 10.
I think we should consider that.
I'll write it down.
I wouldn't put it over Stalker, though. I'm sorry.
I would.
Nowhere near.
I would.
Sorry.
Have any of you seen The American Friend by Wim Wenders?
I fell asleep on it. I was really tired at the
That's
time.
fair,
It had
that's
nothing
fair.
to do with the movie.
I just had to shout it out. It's one of my favorites. Wim Wenders. Wim Wenders. That's all I have, honestly. I don't really wouldn't shout out anything else, but what's like the standouts from the honorable mentions? I wrote down Alien and the Devils, and that's it.
One thing over the Cuckoo's Nest.
Yeah.
but two of y'all
I haven't seen it. I'm sorry. I would
definitely advocate for that over almost anything that we said.
Cuckoo's Nest.
Yeah.
What Alien though is pretty damn good.
I'd put One Flew Over the Cuck over Alien.
The Cuck. I'll read what we have starred right now. So we got Adam Sonata, we got The Godfather, Clockwork Orange, Taxi Driver. Sorry, I'm trying to count these as I go. All That Jazz, Barry Lyndon, The Holy Mountain, John Dielman, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and that's it.
How many slots do we have left then?
One.
The
One.
one. Did I say Woman
fuck.
Under the Influence? Did I say that?
Oh,
Hold
we
on.
were fighting. We were fighting against.
Let me
that.
recount 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I didn't count Woman Under the Influence then, but I would still advocate for it personally. But
But
I don't know.
did you not say Taxi Driver?
I thought I did.
He did.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay,
I started.
Yeah, I mean, I would put Woman Under the Influence over Stalker.
That's not start either. But I don't know what's the fight right now because we have 10 movies. To starred right now. I guess unless something needs to be replaced.
What's the weakest link in the top 10 right
I
now?
think A Woman Under the Influence is the weakest. I'm sorry.
I
kind of have to agree.
It is. I think.
I'm sorry. List all of them out one more time for me.
Okay. You could write them down if you want to.
I don't have a pen.
Autumn Sonata.
Okay.
The Godfather. A Clockwork Orange. Taxi Driver. All That Jazz. Woman Under the Influence. Barry Lyndon. The Holy Mountain. John Dielman. Texas Chainsaw.
That seems like a pretty solid list. I'm not gonna lie.
I think it's really good. I mean, I wouldn't kick. I haven't seen the Holy Mountain, so I'm not gonna kick that out. But I would only say we have 2 Kubrick movies, and if we want to diversify,
No,
I've said that every time, but literally no one agrees. But I personally,
when it comes to
for the sake of diversity,
We cannot take A Clockwork Orange out. It's sinful.
yeah, I agree.
I mean, I would be fine taking out A Clockwork Orange, but that's just me. I mean, you guys are already killing my stalker baby, so
yeah, you're like,
nothing is safe, nothing is sacred.
Well, I was saying put Stalker over
sacred.
A Woman Under the Influence. Me personally, I think A Woman Under the Influence is the weakest.
Wait, no, I would not say that. But I'm just saying that, like, I am down for replacing Woman Under the Influence with something else, but I just want to do it with Stalker.
Don't know.
I'd put like so much shit over Stalker. I'd put like Eraserhead. And
I think Stalker's out because like there's a clear like Carlos would not put it. I'm sorry, Blair. I would fight for you, but I'm already trying to fight for Woman Under the Influence. So
what other films could we put? Over
Woman Under the Influence?
That's up to you. I don't think any, but I
start naming them off real quick.
Yeah.
Godfather 2, Eraserhead, The Ascent, House, honorable mentions: Pink Flamingos, Alien, Devils, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
Yeah, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
No, we haven't seen that movie.
But you know it's great.
I don't know.
That could be a 6 out of 10.
No.
It literally won 3 of the big 5 Oscars. It's one of 3 films to ever do that in the Oscars history. It won Best Picture, won Best Director, won Best Lead Actor, won Best Lead Actress, and won Best Screenplay.
That's fair. I just can't. I don't know what to say.
Yeah, I haven't seen
We're talking best. I mean, Oscars, like, if you want to pull Oscars out, you could, like, Rocky won a bunch of Oscars. I wouldn't put that anywhere.
Whoa. We're not. Whoa. You can't put Rocky in the same conversation.
You just named like a very mainstream movie.
Into this argument.
That's like my grandpa's favorite movie. One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. It's also mainstream.
Yeah. What else?
I have no doubt it's a great film. I mean, Harold and Maude, 3 Women were movies that got rejected, but that were mine. That's about it. I don't really know. Alien, yeah. I mean, we have a great list right now. I'm just, you don't want Women Under the Influence.
Stalker, then at least let me have Women Under the Influence.
Yeah, it's on 2 lists. That's what I'm saying. Like,
okay, fine, whatever.
Like you guys,
I do love the movie, so I don't really have much beef against it. As long as Stalker's not there, I'm happy.
Yeah, me personally, I would actually put Alien over A Woman Under the Influence, but I'm not gonna fight y'all anymore on this.
No, it's fair. I mean, like, this is why this is very subjective at times, because I personally wouldn't put Taxi Driver on it, but I conceded. But yeah, whatever. We'll put it on because I know that's gonna be last on the list, but like, because we're ranking them right now.
Barry Lyndon, number 1. Let's go.
No, we got to start at number 10. That's easier to go.
A Woman Under the Influence?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, shit, I don't know. Texas Chainsaw is another one. I love all these movies. I have nothing disparaging to say anymore.
I mean, personally, I would replace A Woman Under the Influence with Eraserhead, but
yeah, of course, yeah, but I would take Harold and Maude and kick the shit of Taxi Driver out of here. But it's like that's what I'm saying. Like we all love these movies so personally, so we got to leave it out.
Okay, you're right. You're right.
I'm trying to be objective like so badly right now, but it's hard. If you guys want to put a Woman Under the Influence last, that's fine with me.
I mean, whatever.
You guys were fighting hard on it, so it's fine. I'll put it last.
Put it last. Yeah, fuck it.
Even though it's I love it.
Fantastic film though. I love it.
Yeah, that's fair. What's next? Number 9.
Oh shit.
Sorry.
Shit.
You good?
Yeah, okay.
I was just saying it'd also be easier if we like I know we're trying to do 10 through like do it start from 10 and go down to 1, but I also think it'd be easier if we already put Barry Lyndon at number 1. I think it would make it a bit easier.
I would sure. I mean, the only fight I have on that is maybe The Godfather, because
that's like gonna be 2 or 3 for sure.
I mean, obviously, I'd put Barry Lyndon over The Godfather, both objectively and subjectively. But
Same.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, I have nothing against that. Like Blaire, do you want that as number 1?
Barry Lyndon?
Yeah.
I mean, it's fine.
Or we could put Stalker.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, let the record show that Taxi Driver beat Barry Lyndon in the 70s Discord bracket.
I mean, I would put Taxi Driver over Barry Lyndon.
Whoa.
I would.
What the fuck, man?
I wouldn't go that far. It's my second favorite film of all time.
That's why we can't start at number 1. That's why
just
it's so hard.
I mean, it's fine. Barry Lyndon, number 1. That seems reasonable.
All right, fine. We'll do that.
Yeah.
All right. Back to number 9. Now that we
I got that out of the way.
The Holy Mountain? Texas Chainsaw?
I guess. I mean, I put, you know what? Yeah, put The Holy Mountain number 9.
Yeah, that's fair.
And then Texas Chainsaw number 8.
I say that with a question mark because I haven't seen it. I don't want to be the one to see. Texas Chainsaw number 8.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think that's fair. John Dielman, where does that go?
That's got top 5.
In a top 5.
That's okay. I'll save it then. All That Jazz, I feel like that's very personal to me, but I'd put that at number 7. I think that's fine, right?
Yeah.
Or 6.
I've never seen it, so I don't know.
7's good.
Okay.
7.
Okay, shit, it gets hard here. I feel like this number 6 through 4 spot, we got to fight Clockwork Orange. Clockwork Orange, Taxi Driver, Autumn Sonata.
Okay.
Oh, God.
Autumn Sonata's got to be number 4. A Clockwork Orange has got to be number 5, and Taxi Driver's got to be number 6.
I think I like Taxi Driver more than A Clockwork Orange too.
I don't.
Okay.
I like Clockwork Orange more personally, but
I mean, I'm not necessarily saying which is the better film. I think I just like Taxi Driver more than A Clockwork.
I would order it. Go
It's
ahead.
fine. I'm just gonna say it's fine either way. If a Taxi Driver's 5 and A Clockwork Orange 6, or vice versa, as long as Autumn Sonata's like at least number 4.
Yeah, Autumn Sonata deserves.
Autumn Sonata's number 4.
Oh wait, what about John Dielman? That should be like number.
Honestly,
5.
I would put Autumn Sonata over.
I
John
forgot
Dielman.
about that shit.
Me too.
Sorry. One of The Godfather is in top 3 undisputedly. Right? That's what we said.
Yeah, I would agree.
Yeah.
Yes.
This is just number 2 then, because like I
would actually put Autumn Sonata over The Godfather, so maybe that should be.
I would too, and I haven't seen The Godfather.
I haven't seen Autumn Sonata.
I put The Godfather over Autumn Sonata, but not by like much. But that's just how I would do it.
That's 2 out of 3, so I'll put it number 2. Sorry, Perry.
It's okay.
You got your number 1 slot. So then Autumn Sonata number 4, you said, right?
I thought we said we were going to do Godfather 2 and then Autumn Sonata.
Sonata number 3.
Oh shit! Sorry. Yeah. That's fair. I trust that take.
And then John Dillman at 4. And then 5, we could do Taxi Driver. And then 6, A Clockwork Orange.
Yes.
I think Clockwork should be above John Dillman, personally.
Oh my, this guy doesn't let me win.
It's his number 1 movie. It's my number 3. Like Clockwork's on the list once.
Clockwork was my favorite film of all fucking time. I only didn't include it in my list because Perry swapped it out like with something else. But like,
I feel like it should be number 6, right next to my favorite film of all time. All that jazz.
Okay, if you want to put Taxi Driver over if you want to put Clockwork Orange over Taxi Driver, that's fine, but not Jean Dillman.
Yeah, no, John Dillman.
Fine. I'll make that deal. I'll make that deal.
We already got a Kubrick in the top 5 too, so I'd put it at 6.
That's fair.
I wouldn't.
Then
So what are we going with? I just want Jean Dillman on the top 5.
Then we should just kick Taxi Driver off here because I'm getting mixed signals, man. No, but Carlos was like, it needs to be on there. Now he's like, it shouldn't be in the top.
What? Taxi Driver?
And I'm with you. I don't think it should be on the list personally, but
Okay, well then maybe we could do Taxi Driver 6 and A Clockwork Orange 5.
Yeah, what's wrong with that?
Okay, that's fine.
Fine. I was just making a last minute Hail Mary because like
I know you're like upset about about Kubrick getting 2 spots in the top 5, but the man just killed it in the 70s. I don't know what you want from me.
I'm just gonna be like, if he gets 2 slots in the 80s, I'll just be like very shocked, but it's fine. We'll do it the 70s.
He won't, because Full Metal Jacket is not, it's great, but it's not like as masterful as A Clockwork or Barry Lyndon.
It's not.
I share the same take as Mitchie when it comes to Full Metal Jacket, so
I don't love it. What's the take? I like a Full
is
Metal
that
Jacket,
the first half is amazing and the second half is it's good,
the second half's not as good.
I'm with that. All right. Number 5 was Clockwork, you said, and then
6 Taxi Driver.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
This really is the most contentious list.
I knew it would be.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to make it more interesting because like Carlos had a rule where he's like, I'll do 1 director per list.
No, but
top 5. And now it's like all the rules have been thrown out the window. And
I remember
more Robert Altman. I would have put more all these people.
I fairly prepped you for this. I stated in my last last episode, I said I'm going to probably break my rule of the 1 film per filmmaker thing when it comes to the 70s.
Yeah. That's fair. I was just saying like I can't believe Stalker got KO'd. And just fighting for like a John Cassavetes movie. I didn't think I'd have to fight so hard. It's like, but it's fine. It made it. It's good.
It made it at least.
So no Apocalypse Now. Like that's not. I'm still just like reckoning with that.
We could put that over A Woman Under the Influence.
No.
Look, at the end of the day, honest, I swear to God, you could put Stalker or Apocalypse Now over Woman Under the Influence, and I won't even be upset about that.
I know you won't, but I would. That's the thing.
Really?
One of your like the whole.
Yeah, even Stalker, because I feel like I have enough representation in the list, and I understand why people love Stalker, and I feel like I don't know.
Do not concede to that, Blair. I'm not gonna.
Okay.
I'm just saying,
Blair.
I would. Man,
do you not love Stalker, Jake?
I do, but like I love
Woman Under the Influence is number 2.
We're only talking about kicking out the 1 movie that's like my number 2, his number 4. It's like it's just not like democratically fair about like the votes, but
yeah, Stalker's KO, and I've accepted it. I can't bring it back now.
That's fine. No, that's fine. That's fine with me. I just feel I wanted more foreign movies on here. That's all I'll say, but it's okay. We have plenty, actually. We have 3. Let me read the list. The highly contentious list. Number 10 is A Woman Under the Influence, where it deserves to be.
Sorry.
Number 9 is Holy Mountain. Number 8 is Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Number 8's All That Jazz. Number 6 is Taxi Driver. Number 5 is A Clockwork Orange. Number 4 is John Dielman. 3 is Autumn Sonata. 2 is The Godfather. And number 1 is Barry Lyndon. As I read it, I'm actually a lot happier with that list than I seemed.
Oh, are we really all okay with Barry Lyndon being number 1?
Yeah, I mean, I haven't seen The Godfather,
me too.
so I mean,
I'm totally fine.
I can't bet for it one way or another.
The Godfather was the only one where I was like, maybe that, but yeah. Number 2 is fine.
Hell yeah.
And I think that's a solid list. And I'm sure people were going to be mad about shit that we left off, but
my God. You include Willy Wonka, the Chocolate Factory?
I'm telling y'all, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest is going to get us crucified straight up.
Yes, it will.
I think, honestly, I don't think so. I think Apocalypse Now is going to be the one.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
I mean, people love One Flew, but like, I don't know. I think Apocalypse Now is going to be the one people really are going to be like, what the fuck?
Well, I mean, like, that's a populist film, though. Like, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. Like, I think it's very well loved, but like, do people think it's like the best movie of the decade? I've never heard it.
Well, just to save my own ass, I would put One Flew Over the Cuck and Apocalypse Now over A Woman Under the Influence.
I know that you put a lot of things over that, but
I love A Woman Under the Influence. It's just there's just so many fucking like amazing movies in the 70s that that's like,
what I'm saying. Yeah, but like, that movie literally is like one of the most influential movies on our modern day like independent scene. So the same with Taxi Driver. So I guess like I don't know. I got to concede to that too.
Yeah, Woman Under the Influence seems very right for me. Like it just I don't know. It seems right.
Yep.
Well, what about The Ascent?
I wish I'd watched it. I would have fought with you probably because I
love The Ascent, but I would put A Woman Under the Influence over it.
Okay, I was wondering because I know you gave it a 10, right?
Yeah, I give them both 10s.
Okay.
No Robert Altman movies on this list either. That's another thing I was a little questionable about, but I feel like Nashville and Three Women, you guys wouldn't go for back quite as much.
I would have been okay with putting Three Women over A Woman Under the Influence.
I don't know about me, but
Nashville, Long Goodbye.
No,
I don't like Nashville. I mean, I like it, but I don't love it. It's like a strong 7 for me.
I'm just trying to like directors that dominated the 70s. I think he's undisputed, and he's not on here, so that's why I'm a little like, but I talked about him enough. I feel like, but yeah,
man, this is so much fucking fun.
Yeah.
Had a blast.
I'm drained from this, man. This is crazy.
I know.
It's a roller coaster.
5 of my movies made the top 10.
That's awesome. That's awesome, dude. Congrats.
I don't think Rye last week. I don't know if a lot of his made it. So you might be the first guest to have like his whole list make the top 10. But to be fair, you had like 2 movies that were on Carlos's list.
Hopefully it stays that way. Hopefully none of the other guests.
We'll see. Yeah.
He had 2? I thought it was only 1.
Well, he conceded 1 to you is what I meant. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. It's true.
Barry Lyndon and Godfather is, yeah. You did part 2. Yeah. Next time is Bill. Bill Griff is on for the 80s episode.
Oh, it's going to be awesome.
It's going to be a really, I think
for 5. So
I already know his number 1. Not because he like straight up told me. I know that movie.
I do as well. Yeah.
Showa. It's gonna be Showa.
No, I promise you, it's not.
Like I think his number 1 is also in my top 5, but I might concede it to him because I know.
Yeah, I'm gonna concede it to him too.
Like it's such a great film, but
I won't say it because
we won't spoil. What about you, Perry? Though, like, what's your what are movies from the 80s that you love, like that you'd put on yours, since you're not going to be on that?
The Thing. This is not in order, by the way.
Sure.
Yeah. I don't have the list right in front of me, but Possession, The Thing, Fanny and Alexander, Tetsuo the Iron Man,
Whoa.
Raging Bull.
Oh shit!
Let's see some other ones from the
Damn.
80s.
Just like
What?
almost, you just named so many that would probably make my list.
Oh no. Spoiler.
I will see. I haven't even thought about it. I'm just saying, just from that alone, it's like, damn, 80s was a lot more of a great decade than I anticipated.
Oh yeah, 80s. Fuck,
It's full of
Probably
bangers.
my
Yeah.
second favorite decade.
Yeah. It's just Hollywood like 80s movies that were like, what the fuck are we doing here, guys?
Yeah, I think most of mine would be either foreign or like you said, The Thing, like really under the radar cult films. Like probably Repo Man. I don't know if Repo Man's gonna make mine, but like that
Hell
stuff, like
yes.
stuff like that, you know, like more cult status. I'm very excited for that one though. We got Bill Griff on the 80s episode next time. And then 90s episode, we got Mikey coming on.
Yes. So excited for my boy.
Yeah, I love Mike. He messaged me during this while we were filming. He's like, dude, I can't wait to come on. So that's gonna be a lot of fun. And then we got 2000s, 2010s. We just did the hardest episode ever, though. I can't believe
this one was crazy.
I knew I would leave feeling a little unsatisfied, but I'll look at it tomorrow and I'll feel like this is great. So anyway, yeah, let's wrap it up then. First off, Perry, thank you for coming on. Like, I couldn't think of a more fitting guest for this episode, and your list making the top 10, pretty crazy. So thank you for coming on. And do you want to like plug your Letterboxd or anything like that? I know you write reviews on there and stuff like that.
Yes. So my Letterboxd name is Cinema Savant, all one word, all undercase.
Check him out. And I would love to do a Criterion Hall with you one day, Perry, just to see it in person. Go crazy with you. Blaire and Carlos, thank you for coming on again.
Of course.
Blast.
Of course.
We've been hyping this up for weeks now, so I'm glad we did it and not in like a 4-hour time crunch. We did it in like a normal amount of time somehow. Yeah, Carlos, you want to plug? You got stuff?
Yeah, man.
Stuff coming.
So obviously, feel free to join my Patreon so you can get access to the Discord, which is an amazing, wonderful, magical place where filled with Keto Lords around the world. We have movie nights, blind rec discussions every week. It's just an absolute blast. Also, I just put out my top 10 favorite A24 horror films, if that's something that you're interested in. Also did a top 10 favorite directors of all time list, so check that out if you'd like. Yeah, I think that's it. I mean, my short film Solita is going to be playing at the end of the month at the Peaberry Film Festival in Canton, Georgia. Don't know where anybody lives, but if that's a place that you'd like to travel to and support my film, it's playing on Sunday, April 30th at the 4:30 p.m. block where they play in all the Georgia shorts. But yeah, that's all I got to say, I guess, for now.
Hey, Carlos.
Yo.
I'll actually be able to go because I'm taking that week off. And that's my last day of my vacation.
Oh, shit. Hell yeah,
yep.
Dude.
So
that's
I'm
awesome.
Go.
Nice.
Hell yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah, everyone subscribe to Carlos and join the Discord. If you want to yell at us for our 70s list, we'll all be in there. Yeah, and Blaire, if you want to link your Letterboxd or any of your socials, feel free.
Yeah, my Letterboxd is melancholia _, lowercase melancholia and just an underscore. My Instagram is, I think it's spooky _Blaire. Feel free to follow me there. Yeah. I use that social a lot.
Check it out. And yeah, follow Cinebums on all of our socials, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, all that good stuff. We've been doing a lot of shorts on Instagram and YouTube shorts. So check those out. They're fun to edit around. And obviously look out for the 80s episode, probably coming out in several weeks with Bill Griff, another Kino Lord himself. So yeah, this episode was a blast. Thank you guys again. And we will see you for the next one. Peace
All
out.
right.
Thanks, Jake.